and gentlemen, the show is about to start in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
He'll be fine on the mountain.
It's time for Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Built by the Barndominium Company, served by Chicken Cock Whiskey, and part of the Chief Sports Network.
Touchdown Carolina! Touchdown Ace Sanders! Pressure! And he just dives in!
J.C. Sherbert, Phil Mullinax, and Jamie Bradford.
All right, greetings and good morning. Welcome aboard and welcome home. Inside the Gamecocks, the show built by the Barndominium Co. The Barndo Co. is one of the nation's best builders, and they originated right here in the state of South Carolina, and they're building dreams all across the Palmetto State, the Tar Heel State, the Volunteer State, and in the Peach State. The barndoco.com to build your dream home today. We are presented by Resto Pros of the Midlands, Resto Pros, midlandssc.com. There when you need them. Many of you have needed them with the recent storms, and anything that happens to your home or your business moving forward, Resto Pros, they've got your back. They are Gamecock owned and operated. They're in every corner of the state of South Carolina, but of course we do our business with Jeff Sturgis and his team in Columbia. Resto Pros, midlandssc.com. Alex Jones was scheduled to join us at 11:20. We're actually going to pop him in early here in just a couple of minutes. Talk plenty of Gamecock football. Mad Dog and myself, JB, until 2 o'clock today. Mike Morgan will join us later. Matt Anderson will join us later as well. And we'll get you through a Tuesday. Shane Beamer will step to the podium at 1 o'clock this afternoon. And I will depart then to monitor the press conference and then come back and fuss and discuss. But Matt, Mike, and Phil will be here during that time. And so we're looking forward to that. We've got a very interesting buy or sell. A very interesting buy or sell brought to you by protectwithbear.com. If you haven't been to protectwithbear.com, I would encourage you to educate yourself on legal defense. How's that sound? Speaking of that, Perry Orth will join us on Thursday. Tomorrow is our first Talking Ball with Steven Garcia of the season. Although we've had Garcia in previous appearances, of course, we will actually really start talking ball as the Gamecocks get closer. Now 11 days until they kick off against Old Dominion next Saturday at 4:15. That is August the 31st. Good day to have Steven Garcia tomorrow as well, because first thing in the morning, Tailgate Talks will release its second episode on our network with Pat and Steven, and their guest is none other than the head ball coach, Steve Spurrier. I will let all of you know I have watched it and I have listened to it, and it is really freaking good. So this is going to be pretty neat. And stay tuned if you don't know much about Tailgate Talks and you don't know much about what's what's their relationship. Garcia, Coach Spurrier, we'll give you a little bit of insight to that here pretty soon. All right, Alex Jones with the Big Spur joins us. Coach Spurrier or Coach Beamer will meet with the media today at 1 o'clock, and we're really getting close here. Thursday night, a reminder, 6 o'clock at Backstreet's Grill in Columbia will be the first Carolina calls of the season. So we'll see what type of pranksters make their way through the lines to get to Todd and Shane. But we've got Alex. Hey, bud.
How y'all doing? Good to be back with y'all.
Yeah, man. It's don't you kind of feel like, all right, now I get to kind of do my job. You know, the head coach stands up there today. They're done scrimmaging in the preseason. Eyeballs are on the first game. Now we get to really kind of start talking nuts and bolts and stuff like that. Doesn't it feel that way?
Yeah, especially with them entering a mock game, we kind of feel like we kind of enter that with the Beamer press conference today, and then we get coordinators tomorrow. So we don't have a game this week, week 0, but it sure feels like it's right around the corner. Yeah.
Only a few days from football, but 11 days from Carolina football. All right, so what is the pressing question that Alex Jones will be asking Shane Beamer?
Obviously, I think we want to hear about, what the quarterback, situation looks like there. Especially all those position battles. I think, especially going back to quarterback, Lenore Sellers was named quarterback out of the spring. And, I don't think anything's changed there. Shane Beamer always talks about competition and things like that. And I think that's just kind of his way of keeping the competition in the room. We think about those other position battles. You got cornerback and all kicker and all those position battles. So especially with them entering their mock game weekend coming out of that second scrimmage, I'm interested to see kind of what the depth chart kind of looks like and see what he says about that.
Yeah, I think we all are. I'm sure today he's going to tell us that they feel like they can win games with 2 or 3 quarterbacks, and we know all that. But I mean, it is. I don't envision any scenario at all where not only is Lenora Sellers not QB1, but QB1 by a great distance. Now, I'll say this. Let's also be fair to this too, Alex. Let's be fair to this, because not only I've heard this internally, but when you come out and say things, sometimes I try to wait and see if somebody's going to say it first. To be honest with you, when you come out and say things in the world we live in, SEC football, people hear it whatever way they hear it, right? And so, but to use some common sense logic with Robbie Ashford, the guy's been playing college football for a while, and I understand as far as throwing the football, developing into a better passer, he has really done a nice job with Dowell Loggins. Now, he hadn't been in a game situation doing that, but with Dowell Loggins, his development has come a long way there. We know what he can do with his feet. We know that. So I'm not so sure. Like, don't get me wrong. Lenore Sellers is the starting quarterback, but I'm not so sure that anybody should just be dismissive of what Robbie Ashford can actually help you do on a football team. I do think that there is a place where he's going to be able to help them win some games this year. I just don't know where that is.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like in preseason camp and kind of building off of last season, it sounds like he's improved with his arm because we knew what he could do with his legs, but it sounds like his arm has improved. And, with him, I think, he has the respect of his teammates and, he respects them. And I think he's been a tremendous help to Lenore's just with that experience, playing SEC in the SEC, and his time at Oregon. I think he's been invaluable to Lenore's to kind of help him get him ready. And that competition is only going to help Lenore's knowing that Robbie Ashford's right there too. So I think he's shown improvement, and I definitely think there's probably going to be some packages. You never know, but there's probably going to be some packages in there for Robbie Ashford to enter the game and, use his legs to either gain first downs or things like that. So, I think he's been invaluable to Lenora Sellers to help him out and get him ready to go. And who knows what he can accomplish this year when he gets in.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, and I would love to hear. I don't know if you or somebody else has plans to ask about the impact of Mike Shula as well, who has long tutored quarterbacks. Him and Dowell have really, from what I understand, done a nice job. But my opinion on all this, Alex, if anybody were to ask me, which they won't, but I'll give it anyways because I have a microphone, is that I think that this staff really has just handled this beautifully. They've handled it beautifully. I mean, you just mentioned competition. Does that mean that they're going to have two star quarterbacks? I have no idea. I just mean from the understanding that they have to prepare a football team. They've got to prepare a football team, and they have found ways privately and publicly, because everybody hears and knows everything. Everybody has access to make sure that room, no matter what the gap is between 1 and 2, between 2 and 3, whatever it is, they have found ways privately and publicly to make sure that they maintain an elite level of competition, like you just said, to push each other, keep pushing, believe that you can be the starting quarterback, believe that you can be the starting quarterback. That's what good coaches aren't supposed to accommodate fans and what they want to hear in the middle of August. They're supposed to build a football team so fans are happy in November. And I feel like that they've just done a beautiful job from what I've heard internally on that.
Right, and obviously with Lenore's not being named the publicly named the starter yet, you have to feel like the team has a good understanding of who the starting quarterback is going to be. And they respect Robbie too, and know that the teammates respect him and know they can win games with him. But the team knows who's going to start, and I think they're ready to go. And I just think, as you mentioned, they've handled this really well, just, keeping the competition in the room, because, Shane Beamer always mentions that competition is a core value of the team. And, I think they've been handled really well so far, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I absolutely 100% agree with that. All right. So it seems almost like a general consensus now, Alex, up front, that there's probably going to be a true freshman at left tackle and a couple of transfers at guard. What are you hearing?
Yeah, it kind of sounds like the offensive line has been pretty close to solidified. Obviously, that's not been, said publicly who's going to start with 5, but, kind of just read the tea leaves. It seems like, Josiah Thompson's got a really good chance to start at left tackle with those two guards, Kamara Bell and Torricelli Simpkins handling the guard position. So, I think after that second scrimmage, they probably went in there thinking, let's get the 5 that we want out there and kind of build off of that. And it sounds like they've done that and have a good idea of who's going to trot out there in that starting offensive line for the first play against Old Dominion.
How many guys do you think that they feel comfortable putting in the game on the offensive line?
I think Shane mentioned it was 7 or 8 after that post scrimmage press conference. You think about the 5 we mentioned, and I think you got to think about the 2 freshmen from last year who were starters, and Trevon Ball and Tree Bobley. I still think they feel good about them, and I think it says a lot about the transfers that they were able to come in and earn that spot over those true freshmen who really shined last year with Trevon and Tree. So I think you have those 2, and then Marquis Anderson's kind of the interesting one. Just he's got to get healthy, and I think he sounds like he may be close to there, just kind of dealing with some things, but in his 2 years just hasn't been healthy. But I think they still have confidence in him, and you can hear that from Shane Beam when he talks about him, saying, if he was healthy last year, there's a good chance he was going to play a lot. So I think they feel pretty good about 7 or 8 or so in there.
And Ja'Kai Moore. Yeah, and Ja'Kai Moore. Yeah, for sure. Alex, the defense has gotten the headlines. I kind of thought they would, and in the last 2 scrimmages, it's been their game. It's been their game. So that's something today he will be asked about the defense, and I'm interested to hear really more of his tone than whatever words come out of his mouth. I had a source to describe it to me this weekend as, hey, I think, and this is a good source. This isn't like, just somebody who said they've got 17 or 18 guys they can start. I mean, right? They all these guys deserve to start. You can only start 11. He didn't elaborate as far as exactly which positions maybe those additional 6 or 7 guys may come from. But if that's true, that hasn't been the issue around here in a while. They generally have problems to deal with. This one's a pretty good problem.
Yeah, I think coming into preseason camp, we knew the depth that this defense had, and I think that's kind of just been solidified through preseason camp. You think about that first scrimmage, it sounds like the defense really won today, which was, expected with a new offense, still meshing. And, I think the offense had a little bit of a bounce back day the second day, but it still sounds like the defense had a really good day. And, again, that's not surprising with all the veterans and experience they're returning. So, this defense, I think, has a chance, especially up front. It all starts there, and I think they got a chance to make some noise, especially up front with those trio and of defensive linemen and at the edge. You think about the experience at linebacker in the secondary. It's just seems like they got a chance to have a really, really good season.
How about Kyle Kennard? What are you hearing on him?
Yeah, I think they've been really, really impressed with him. And, talking to Sterling Lucas before the season, he was a guy who mentioned when he looked back at his tape from Georgia Tech that he was a guy who, I think he had 6 sacks total, but said that he should have been in double digits and knew what he needed to work on to get better. And I think he's a guy who physically has worked to better himself there, and it looks really good from what we've seen in the practices that we were there. And I would not be one bit surprised if he's a starter, and I think even if he's not, he's going to play a lot, and I think he's got a chance to really, really have a pretty big impact on this defensive line.
So Alex, with everybody kind of focusing on the line and the secondary, what are you hearing about the linebacker position?
Yeah, when you think about the linebacker position, obviously Debo Williams is the first thing that comes up, and rightfully so with what he did last year. But, it sounds like Bam Martin-Scott's gotten back from that hamstring injury and is, we saw what he did at the end of the year last year and really was one of the reasons why that defense elevated from where they were. But that's another position that, they really got some depth. Like I remember mentioning Demetrius Knight as a guy who, and I don't think people were talking about enough at the beginning of preseason camp. And I mean, the guy's on the Buckets Award watch list, and we're kind of not talking about him being potentially as a starter. So I think that shows the depth that they have at linebacker. And a guy like Jerron Willis, who kind of shined last year and continues to get better, he's a guy to watch out for. And Bengali Kamara is another guy who looking back at some Pittsburgh stuff from him, he was a guy who flashed at Pittsburgh. So I think they got some just kind of the theme with this defense. They have depth at linebacker, and even they have that depth. I think the top end talent there is really, really good.
And experience. They've got guys who played football. That matters. They all look the same. Every damn one. They're all 6'2", 240 pounds, 245 pounds. It's kind of funny though, because when you look at some of them carry it a little bit differently. I'm a big believer in Bam Martin-Scott, just for what it's worth. I really want to be able to say the name Bam Bam a lot. I don't know if he likes that, but if he doesn't, somebody just let me know and we'll nix it. But Bam Bam seems kind of cool. But when you look at him, he seems a little not lean, but lengthier, I guess, stretched out. But he carries the same weight that Demetrius Knight does, and he seems more boxed in, like Jasper Brinkley used to be around here. I don't know. We know that they can play, and we know that there's a ton of experience in that linebacker room. I don't know how much we can make that point. I guess, when the bullets start flying, we see him out there running around. One of the things last year that was as hard as Stone Blanton played, and I thought he played his tail off. I know he caught flack from people, played his rear end off. I mean, let's be honest. He played as hard as he could. But Michael Flink pointed out often here that sideline to sideline, it was a little bit of a struggle for him. I'm not hearing that is kind of the issue with these guys. They fly around pretty good.
Yeah, I think with the linebackers, that's the biggest thing I'm interested to see in Old Dominion in that first game and really kind of moving throughout the early part of the season, how they've improved kind of that east to west speed, I guess. We think about Debo Williams, a guy who he can get east to west, but, Ben Martin Scott, as you mentioned, I think he's a guy who, when he came in, kind of showed that he can play in between the tackles and also moved east to west. But we mentioned, Demetrius Knight's a guy with that speed. I can't remember the exact number he said, but his speed is going to allow him to get east to west. So, I think that's going to allow or really help them get to kind of those perimeter plays, kind of those outside zones, and even get out there to those quick screen passes. And that's a huge part of Clayton White's defense. And I think it's going to be really improved this year.
I feel like we're having the same conversations over and over and over, but we try to have them a little bit differently because information does change. Going into last weekend's scrimmage, I had kind of shifted gears a little bit at the other corner, thinking maybe Vakari Swain is going to run out there first next week. Again, I don't know that it really matters. I think that he and Judge Collier are going to get plenty of opportunities to prove it when they get into the games. And then as the season goes along, they're both going to play. But now I don't know, man. I'm kind of, based on some recent intel, I'm kind of sliding back into the camp of Judge Collier getting that first start. Shane Beamer and his staff have a history of, if all things are equal or close to, they will give the nod to the guy that maybe has played a little bit more around here. That's not necessarily the case with Josiah Thompson on the offensive side, but on the defensive side, it could be with Judge Collier. What do you hear? I know you're going to talk to Shane today. He's going to be asked about all these things. We'll see how many concrete answers he gives, but based on recent intel, what are you hearing on that?
Yeah, kind of going into preseason camp, I figured Judge Collier had the upper hand, to land that spot. And, I still do feel that way, but I think Vakari Swain is really impressed in camp. I think he's a big-time playmaker, and something that, they kind of worked on with him is consistency, and I think they're still working on him with that. But, I think it's really, really close between those two. And you got to add in Emory Floyd in there, too, who they said who they've also liked what they've seen. So with that position anyway, I'm not sure it really matters who starts because, Shane's already mentioned that, all of them are going to play against Old Dominion. And no matter who starts, even that Kentucky game, you think if a Judge starts, like I would imagine whoever starts, they're all going to continue to play just because, that's a position that you kind of rotate to keep some fresh legs. So, I think it's great for South Carolina that Vakari Swain is flashing because I think just improves that depth at corner, which was a spot that, we kind of wondered what the depth looked like there. But it sounds like, especially with David Spalding on the other side behind O'Donnell Fortune, it sounds like they may have some legitimate depth there. And that's a great thing for South Carolina.
You know what? There's no doubt. And Jalewis Solomon is a guy who's just uberly talented. And I think we'll see him play. I think they're going to do everything they can to redshirt him if possible. Mm-hmm. David Busey's name continues to come up, a guy who was way under the radar coming into camp, but it just keeps popping. A safety out of Savannah, Georgia. Guys, again, we've talked about the fact that the recruiting class of 24 was small in numbers when it came to the high school prospects. So there is a case to be made here, and there were 16. Remember, Jerome Simmons is not here, so there's 15 that are here. There's a case to be made that over half of those guys could play significant minutes for the Gamecocks this year. We know that 3 or 4 are going to. There's no doubt about that. But then there's another group. I think it just really speaks volumes about this staff what they were able to do on the recruiting trail, and the fact that some of those guys, not named Dylan Stewart and Josiah Thompson, who everybody in the country wanted, they found some football players, Alex.
Yeah, so every Sunday I do a freshman report after each game, and this year I'm expecting it to be pretty loaded every Sunday, just especially from a special team standpoint. You mentioned a guy like David Busey, who, as you mentioned, has really flashed so far during camp, and he's a guy, thinking back to his high school tape, coming out of high school, he was a guy who I loved coming out of high school because he was just not afraid to hit you and just not afraid of contact, and just really a guy who has worked hard since he came here. They need a little bit of depth at safety, but I think he's a guy who's going to be a big-time special teams performer. And with that freshman class this year, we talk about the guys at the top, the higher-ranked guys, Josiah Thompson, Dylan Stewart, those guys. Yeah, obviously they're going to play a lot. But I think they got a lot of guys, when you think about who can really just, if it's maybe some of it's on defense, I think special teams this year is going to be, just loaded with freshman talent because I think they really, really like that group and their potential.
Yeah, two of those guys are going to catch the football. One of them is named Michael Smith, a tight end. There were two names that everybody were very familiar with at the tight end position coming into camp. Josh Simon, Brady Hunt, big-time transfer, excited about him. But all of a sudden, Michael Smith and Mo Brown, a walk-on, number 44. Get used to that number. These guys have proven that they can play. They're going to play. How much? We don't know, but they are going to play. What are you hearing on them?
Yeah, it's been really impressive to see the impact Michael Smith has had so far. Being a guy who wasn't here in the spring and enrolled in the summer, you wondered, just how quick can he adjust to the college game? And, it sounds like that's been no issue for him so far. He physically looks like he's ready to go, and, it seems like he's going to make, from game one, he's going to be a guy that they look to. Especially could see him being kind of that red zone threat, especially when he kind of throw up in the end zone. He's a guy who looks like he can go up and get it. So I think, he's kind of solidified himself in the depth chart and is going to be a guy who's played a lot. And then Mo Brown's a really interesting one. Shane Beamer's mentioned him as a guy who, along with Michael Smith, is going to play a lot in that tight end room. And it seems like he's really worked hard in the offseason to improve his body. I think he gained around 20 or so pounds since spring practice. And, we got to talk to him last week in a player press conference, and he looks just really, really good. And so, the tight end room is really interesting. It was one dude, I thought they had some, we knew about Josh Simon and Brady Hunt, but, another position. We keep talking about depth, and it seems like on every position, but they keep building depth in that tight end room. And I think they got 4 or so guys right now that they feel really good about. They missing those 2 guys with injury right now, and Reed McKeska and Nick Elksness, who didn't scrimmage. But, I think they feel really good about 4 guys in there. Throwing Connor Cox, who seems like they like his potential.
For those that don't know who Mo Brown is, let me give you a little bit of background on him. Carolina, of course, has done a great job recruiting the Delmarva area, and he's another one, but he's a walk-on from Springdale, Maryland, and he joined the team in January of 2023, last year. He did play special teams. Any walk-on in college football and in the SEC, and this is a special teams unit here at Carolina. This isn't like how Deion Sanders treats special teams at Colorado, where he doesn't have a special teams coordinator. They had a control analyst or whatever he was that he let go last night. So they don't even have a special teams coach in Boulder. Brilliant. But here at South Carolina, Shane Beamer requires special teams to play at the highest level that it possibly can. This is a true freshman who came in from Maryland last year, walked onto the team, and played in all 11 games after the first one. All 11 as a walk-on. He was then named the most improved player in the spring on special teams. So, quite frankly, when you do a little research, it's really not surprising that this kid is popping. Whatever he's got inside of him, maybe he was missed on the recruiting trail. Maybe he's just got incredible parents. Whatever it is, this kid has used the opportunity that the Gamecocks have given him and thrown himself in the mix to not only participate in special teams once again, but to be able to play tight end at South Carolina with all these other guys that we know are really, really good. This is going to probably be a story to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and with him, he's still kind of adjusting to the tight end position. And we can think back to him in high school. He played quarterback in high school, and he kind of mentioned that in his press conference that he's still getting used to that tight end position. But, as you mentioned, like if you're a freshman playing on special teams at South Carolina, that means a lot. It means they have a lot of faith in you and the potential that you have. And, it seems like Sean Elliott really likes him and likes his potential. And I think he could be in, he's going to be bad on him for playing time with those guys. But, they obviously with what Shane Beamer said about him, they love his potential and what he can be at South Carolina.
That is Alex Jones, a very handsome, very talented young man from Hampton County. He is not in any way, shape, or form related to any of the Murdaws. We've had that question around here, so don't ask again, please. All right, Alex, I mentioned one pass catcher that's a freshman, and there's another one. His name's Mazio Bennett. He's going to play. We know he's going to play. Is he going to start? I don't know. We'll find out. But he's had a hell of a fall. Or I'm sorry, that word shouldn't be used yet. He's had a hell of a preseason camp.
Yeah, and we think back to spring practice, he was a guy who came in and immediately worked himself in that rotation and had a good spring game with a good third down catch, I think, from Robbie Ashford, and has just built on that in the offseason and in the preseason camp. And he's right there in the rotation. We've talked about who's going to start at wide receiver, and we've all had, hundreds of different answers as to who those three or so can be. But Mazio Bennett's going to be a guy he's going to play a lot this year, and I expect him game one to be a guy that they throw in there to see, what he can do when the lights come on. But I don't think you really have to worry about that with Mazio Bennett from what you've seen in high school to what he did at each game in high school to what he's done so far. So, he's going to rise to the occasion, and it seems like he's right in that rotation along with, it seems like 6 or 7 guys right now who they want to keep looking at for that starting position.
Yeah, it's just hard to imagine a scenario where this doesn't get figured out during the games. They're not going to have their answers over the next 10 days in practice. They're just not. It's going to take game film to figure out who makes plays out there. As Cam Smith once said, drop your blanks. All right, let's move back and go to so who's the starting running? I'm just kidding. Rocket Sanders, of course, is the starting running back for South Carolina. But Matthew Fuller's name continues to come up, continues to come up, continues to come up, and continues to come up again. And it's not just media reports. I've done some checking on this of guys who are pretty close to that room, and it's real. He can tote it, and they're really excited about him. Juwan Howell, Oscar Attaway, talented young men who were brought in to, people say, provide depth. That's fine. I think that kind of demotes their role a little bit. They were brought in to play football at South Carolina. I think both of them are going to have roles here, but they went from having maybe 1 or 2 running backs last year, all of a sudden having like 5.
Yeah.
So if Matthew Fuller is a real piece here, if he's a real piece, DJ Braswell, this is going to be interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, you think back to that running back room last year, it's night and day. And I'm not even sure that does it justice for what this running back room is right now. Bringing a guy like Rocket Sanders, who, from all accounts, sounds like he's getting back to Rocket Sanders of 2022 and looked good in that second scrimmage on Saturday. And Oscar Attaway is a guy, like, I don't want to say he's a forgotten man because he's not, but I think he's got a chance to be really good this year. And it's a guy who I think can be great in short yardage situations, but also has the speed to, break off those long runs. We've seen what Jordan Howell can do at South Carolina State, and I think he's got a huge potential here for the rest of his career at South Carolina. But, yeah, Matthew Fuller is a guy who I think maybe not has caught them off guard because they really liked him out of high school, but has really, really flashed in preseason camp. And we talk about these freshmen and how, ready to go they look from the bat. He's another one who doesn't look like a true freshman physically. Like, he looks like he's going to be a solid running back. And they got, as you mentioned, 4 or 5 guys, and DJ Braswell is another one who I think, has shown some progress this year and flashed last year as a freshman. So, I don't think depth at the running back room is going to be an issue this year. And I think they got a lot of guys they feel really good about putting on the field each game.
Yeah, Matthew Fuller finished his career in high school, 256 carries, over 2,000 yards on just 256 carries. He also, of course, played defense. And they had a pretty good, I'd say, source, to discover who this guy really is. Can he play? Can he not? Jabo Shaw, Connor's brother, probably going to be pretty honest about that. All right. Now here comes one of the grand questions, if you will. You don't have the answer. Phil doesn't have the answer. I don't have the answer. I don't even know if they have the answer, but there's got to be one somewhere. What do you do with Juju McDowell?
Yeah, it's really interesting because, we talk about the running backs. I didn't even bring his name up, but, I think he's going to be a guy who they need to find and are going to find some ways to get him the ball because, when he gets to the perimeter, he can be really electric with the ball in his hands, just quick. You think back to the ECU game, Shane Beamer's first year, like he led that drive down the field that, eventually led to the game-winning field goal. So with him, I think they're, especially him and Luke Doty, in a sense, they're trying to find a way to, get them the ball to see what they can do in the open field because they've shown that they can do that, especially Juju McDowell. I'm really interested to see. I think Shane Beamer may have dropped a little bit of a hint in his last press conference about him being a punt returner, which I think is, I think he would be really, really good in that role. And we've seen him doing some of that in kickoff return too in previous years. So, I think you got to find a way to get the ball in his hands, and it seems like they're doing everything they can to do just that.
Yeah, it sure does. He's not a, turn around and hand it off 10, 15 times a game guy. He's got to get the ball in space. But who the hell am I to say that? That's what they hired Dowell Loggins for. So excited to see that. Another name that continues to pop up as far as playmaking goes on the offensive side of the football is Jared Brown. And here we go again. We've been doing this every week. We can play this game every week. Name your starting 3 wide receivers. Name your starting 3 wide receivers. How about you name? They're all going to be different. I don't even know that last week. I think we did this like with 4 or 5 different people. Did anybody say Jared Brown? And all of a sudden this week, damn, Jared Brown's in there catching balls. Whatever. I just look at it as I don't know how to look at it. Is it? They're all competing. I think from what I understand, like I know there's people, they still dropped 4 balls last weekend. Yeah, I know they did. That's going to continue to clean itself up. But I feel like they brought a bunch of competitors in. Like nobody has removed their name, if that makes sense, from consideration for at least the guys that they brought in to play. Like it's not like they just disappeared. Like they've all in some way, shape, or form kind of stepped up. This is it's really interesting. I don't think I can remember a receiving core. I don't even know how long it's been around here since there's been this many guys battling just to get on the field. They're all kind of in the same little category.
Yeah, specifically with Jared Brown, you're right. Like it seems like when everybody names their starting 3 wide receivers these past few weeks, like he was maybe that 4th guy or so that you thought about who's cracking that top 3. But it sounds like he really did a nice job in this second scrimmage and showed that he's going to be a guy that could work his way into the starting rotation. And I think we're at the point with this wide receiver room. It's like we're just going to have to wait to find out in the game.
Yeah,
when the lights come on, nobody's going to know, and I'm not even sure one game's going to do it. Like it's going to be a few games before we realize like who those top 3, 4, 5 guys are. I think it's you can look at it 2 ways. Like you mentioned, like maybe it's not enough to say that a few guys have separated themselves in that room, but they have. As we mentioned, 6 or 7 guys who we think could have the potential to start. So again, I think it's going to be a few games before we find out who those 4 or 5 are. But I've got a feeling that they know who 3 or so of them are that they can count on in that first game. But I think we'll find out when the lights come on here in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
they need to get it done quick where we're just going to be running down the wide receiver roster list.
Yeah.
Be like, okay.
Come on, Shane. Shane, we need you to help us out here. This is about us and what we get to talk about, not about you.
We should bring up a name in the press conference today, Alex, that nobody's mentioned before. Let's see what Shane says about it.
Yeah, do it. Why not? Hey, look, the Jared Brown, this guy didn't just come out of nowhere. I think people know that he came from Coastal. He was a freshman All-American by the Football Writers Association in 2022. He can play football.
Speedy guy. Too.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things he mentioned, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, was that they're kind of implementing some of the stuff he did at Coastal into South Carolina's offense. And when you think about what he did at Coastal, really a guy who can you can give the ball in the backfield and just let him go. Kind of now we're talking about with Juju McDowell. He did a lot of that at Coastal Carolina, but I think can be a guy who can thrive in that intermediate to deep threat kind of guy. So he's just another guy that is really intriguing with his potential because he's shown what he can do, as you mentioned, at Coastal, and had a few solid seasons there, and is looking to build off of that this season.
Played 7A football at Parkview High School in Georgia. So we'll see. All right. Well, anything? Let's see. Yeah, we need to give him a name. We need to give him a name, Phil. Hold on. Oh, I got it. But it won't be a wide receiver. I need you to go into the defensive back room and ask Coach Beamer today if Jackson Berger is cutting the mustard or not.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll text Woodle right now and tell him he can do that.
Hey, just tell Coach Beamer that just tell Coach Beamer it came from me. All right.
And then you'll get a head nod, roll your eyes and smile, and then just move on. Yeah.
Fink. Don't ever book me for that show again.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Ask him if Jackson Berger's still playing catch up or not.
I'll be on it.
That's right. And is he relishing the opportunity?
Oh, here you go.
Yeah.
Oh man, come on, this is getting a little cheesy. This is getting a little cheesy. All right, let's just
this
be
bit's
honest.
getting a little.
All right, any parting shots, Alex?
Hey, we're entering game. We're real close. What is it? 11 days now, I think. And so, I'm interested to see this Florida State Georgia Tech game this week. Get some football under our belt, and we're close. We're right there.
Well, do me a favor.
Who you got in that one?
I think Florida State's like a 13-point favorite. I saw. I'm really interested. Oh, really? Has it?
Yeah, down. I think 11.5.
11.5.
None of that matters when you're in Ocean.
11. Ooh, it's down to 11.
I'm interested to see about Florida State. They lost a lot off of that team, and they got a new quarterback, obviously with DJU being there. I'm just interested to see how they perform in Week 1. I think Georgia Tech's a team that could surprise some people. We'll see, and I think we'll learn a lot about both of those teams. But I'll choose Florida State to win that game.
All right. Well, we're getting closer, man. We're getting closer. Just hang in there, Alex. Not too much longer. We'll all be able to actually talk about the football game next week and get a little peek at Old Dominion. They've got a preseason All-American on the defensive side of the football for them. So we're certainly looking forward to that. Great job as always, brother. Looking forward to getting you back next week.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Looking forward to it. See y'all next time.
Thank you. There you go. Alex Jones with the BigSpur.com. Shane Beamer ahead at 1 o'clock today. We'll have that totally covered here on ITG. All right. So it's 11:39. We got Mike Morgan, Matt Anderson ahead to drive around the SEC later on. We've got some buy or sell. We got reaction to Coach Beamer's comments, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Let's hit a timeout. We'll be right back.
I got to ask you one more thing, Coach.
Okay, Stephen.
All right, so 2011, after the Auburn game, and then Connor plays Kentucky, freaking balls out. Next thing you know, I get kicked off the team. I just wanted to hear, kind of from your perspective, how you felt on that. I know I absolutely despised it, but I just wanted to hear from you.
Hey, this is Cornbread Cowboy, and you're listening to the show. We'll be right back.
Welcome home. That's what the Gamecocks say, and so does nationally recognized the Barndominium Company, where they are building dream homes in the Carolinas, Georgia, and Tennessee. Their turnkey process can be custom designed and takes 6 months on average. Make your dream a reality. Visit thebarndominiumco.com. Thebarndominiumco.com.
The Aventon Adventure 2 takes the same basic design as the original Aventon Adventure, making it an adventure bike designed to take you places that typical roads just don't reach, allowing you to ride whatever terrain you want based on your whims of the day. Look at what you're getting. Hydraulic disc brakes, torque sensor for responsive pedal assist, great LED lighting, suspension, a beautifully welded frame with excellent build quality, included rear rack, included fenders. The list just keeps going on.
Visit electricbikescharleston.com for more.
Hi, I'm Joel Lurie. If you're turning 65 this year or retiring soon, you probably have questions about Medicare. How do I enroll in Medicare? When do I need to enroll? And what plan fits my needs and budget?
Why use an out-of-state call center when you can work with a local agency?
At Lurie Life and Health, we'll research your doctors and prescription drugs, and we'll help you find the plan that meets your needs and budget.
Lurie Life and Health. Our service is at no cost. Call Lurie Life and Health in Columbia, 803-256-2067.
Welcome to Palm Casual Patio Furniture. Because we are the factory, Palm Casual has the ability to offer the highest quality outdoor furniture paired with world-class service. Since 1979, our factory showrooms have done our best to make the buying process as easy as possible for our customers. Our understanding of the many factors that go into your decision has helped us create our 30-day trial period that increases the level of comfort our customers feel during the shopping experience. Visit us in Somerville, Mount Pleasant, Myrtle Beach, in Bluffton, and online at palmcasual.com for our products and out-of-state locations. Gamecock owned and operated.
There it is, 11 days away until that chant takes over Williams-Brice Stadium versus Old Dominion. Welcome back. It's 11:43 Inside the Gamecocks, the show brought to you by our friends at Gamecock Traditions. Have you been looking in the closet, looking in your drawers? Oh, my gosh, I got to get something new. It's time. You're not alone. You're not alone. Don't feel bad. Everybody does it. Gamecock Traditions, that's what they're there for. They know this happens every year. That's why they stock up. That's what happens in August. Oh crap, this shirt sucks, or the geckos got a hold of it like at Whittle's house or whatever it is. If you go to GamecockTraditions.com, you can order them, whatever you want. Bam, send it to your door. I do that pretty quick though. I mean, they don't take 11 days to ship things, but season's right around the corner, so you might want to head there now, like today, and do it. Or if you want to go see them in Lexington, the Village at Sand Hill, I'll just tell you this: take a little more money than you were expecting to spend. Not necessarily because like they're going to price gouge you. I don't mean that. Because do you ever go into Gamecock Traditions and only spend the amount of money you took? No, I've never done that. I'll take $100 in there and I'll end up like, what was I even thinking here? I literally used to try that, Phil. I'd go get cash. I'm not going over this. It's not good. Every single time I ended up not using the cash and just going right to the credit card.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. The last time I was in there, that's almost exact. I had a number in my head. I didn't have the cold hard cash. And I was like, I just throw it on the credit card.
Yeah. Hell with it.
Yeah. Whatever.
Honey, have you been grocery shopping yet? Did you pay the light bill?
That's
no?
right. No. Ooh.
That sucks.
All right. Well,
All right, let's see here. In the Nana's Porsche chat box, Bruin asks, is there any way to watch the podcast besides Gamecocks? Are you talking about Gamecock Talks? Nope. You can always listen on our app for free. You have to be a Gamecock Plus member to be able to watch it. Jeff asks, how much money does it cost to get Cornbread Cowboy on here? Well, how much you got, Jeff?
Yeah.
Craig says the show buffer's bad for me on TV. You have to talk to your internet provider, Craig. Can't help you with that, brother. Let's see here. Bruin said every hire was better than Satterfield. That's not true. I thought he was the best one they could have possibly dreamed of. Maddox, who played for Mike Furry. Maddox has been in here before with us, and we always love seeing him. Said Mike Furry will be the greatest hire of the Shane Beamer era. Okay. All right. We'll find out. Sam said, I feel like he could be a Nate Adkins type. I think Sam is talking about you, Phil, just being, Mr. Everyday Blue Collar. Pretty sure he was talking about Mo Brown. I eyeballed that earlier. Let's see here. John asked, how's Mo Kaba doing? He's doing well, John, doing well. How much will he play this year? Don't know. Those injuries really just were so unfortunate. Mo Kaba is an outstanding person. I hope he plays a lot, but right now it looks like he's behind a bunch of dudes. All right. And earlier we had some RIPs to the great Kenny McKinley. Kenny and I became really good friends at Carolina, had classes together. Just an amazing guy. And everybody remembers Kenny every year when there's 11 days to go until football season. We'll talk to Stephen tomorrow about Kenny a little bit too. They, of course, played together. And Kenny was something. He was something. Justin asked, how do y'all feel about all of the early kickoffs? Oh, yeah, I don't really care, man. I don't get too hung up and all that. To be honest, I'm happy Old Dominion's not at night. That's a nice kick time. I like 3:30 and 4:15. I can get home or get settled. Kentucky, that's on the road. If you're asking about home games, then I guess that's irrelevant. LSU certainly wish it would have been at night. I'll be honest about that. So that kind of sucks. As far as Oklahoma and Bama on the road, big fan of that. Don't want to play Bryant Denny at 7 or Norman. Ole Miss is a flex game. So if Carolina, look, the reality of it is if South Carolina beats Kentucky or LSU, that Ole Miss game is most likely going to be at night. I guess. I don't know. They don't really do it how they used to do that. Remember?
No. Yeah.
It's different now. So there's going to be, I mean, you think just in your lane, right, Phil? Like, bam, if we do this, we'll be, well, there are other factors.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a completely different landscape now with all the realignments and it's not just conference realignments now. We've all, got network realignment as well. So that had an impact, made us both look silly when we didn't even consider it, picking kick times before those came out. It was like, oh yeah, we didn't consider that we're now going to have to populate a full day of ABC football, which is fine. Hey, 3-letter network. That's what you're going for. You like that. But yeah, it's just going to be a different set of circumstances. I'm with you on the opener though. Nice 4:15 kick. We're out of there by 8. Head on home or wherever you're going, and yeah, that'll be good. But
well, I mean, honestly, LSU's the only noon kick Carolina's going to get at home. So
yeah,
I mean, Akron's at night. Ole Miss is either afternoon or night, which is 3:30 to 4:30 or 7 or 7:30. Bama and Oklahoma are on the road. A&M at home is at night. Missouri is in the afternoon. Wofford is at 4. So there's only one noon kick, and that is in Columbia. And I do wish it was at night. I will say that, but that's LSU. I by the way, so I'm going to Oklahoma. So I like the fact that Alabama's at noon. Wake up and get your game day going, and you don't have to wait all day. And if you get beat, at least in my home, I get to kick everybody out, get the hell out of here by 3 o'clock so I can figure out what to do the rest of my afternoon. If you win, get the kids to bed early, honey. It's going to be a long night.
That's right.
All right. Brian asks, any names emerging on the wide receiver end of things? How is Brown looking from Coastal? I'm assuming Brian probably just popped into the show. So, Brian, welcome. We spent a lot of time on that. If you want to maybe scroll backwards, Brown looks good. And all the names are pretty much the same they've been the last couple of weeks, my man. Austin says Rockets line for rushing yards for yet. I have no idea what that means, Austin, but God bless you, my man. God bless you. Ethan said
a little farther down there. Yeah, said it's 7:24.
I hadn't made my way down, Austin.
Yeah.
I thought you had woke up and started pre-gaming for us, so we appreciate that.
Right.
Let's see here, Austin. Let's read this again, Austin. So I'm not such a jerk this time. Rockets line for rushing is set at 7:24. Do you guys? Yeah, I like the over. Yeah, I would take the over on that, as long as he stays healthy. I understand the line because of his health. Yeah. Skyland said when the Gamecocks wins, JB wins, we all win. Skyland.
Yeah, that's right. We all win. Everybody's a winner.
Yeah. We all win. Matt said that line's gone up. I'm sure it has because the word's gotten out that he's actually healthy. People who are making up things aren't.
Bang that over. Put money on the over.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. That is someone that's from the Nano Sports chat box thus far. So something interesting that I was reading earlier, and we'll get into this with Mike. We'll get into this with Mike a little bit, and I mean, it was based on basketball, but it certainly rolls over into football. And it's from Gary Parrish with CBS, and he has every year he does this interview series with college basketball coaches called Candid Coaches. And he asks them these questions. They're all anonymous, and it's not just the most high profile coaches in college basketball. They go from high profile all the way down to assistants at very, low Division I or Division II schools. And one of the questions that he asked is, listen to the question. Okay. It's worded carefully. What is the most amount of NIL money someone has asked you or your staff to pay for a player? Not what have you paid. What is the most amount of NIL money someone has asked you or your staff to pay for a player? So we'll talk about some of that. Pretty startling responses. Pretty startling, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Almost kind of scary and honestly fairly delusional, I would say, for some people who just have absolutely no idea how anything works. Just money grab it is. Money grab it is. So we'll get into some of that with Mike. And, Mike does speak with a lot of college basketball coaches, not only in the SEC, but elsewhere. And we'll get his thoughts on some of that as well. That'll be a good conversation to have with him. So be prepared, if you will, Mad Dog.
Mm-hmm.
Ethan asks, what's the best football movie to watch? My favorite is Rudy, but a close second is The Longest Yard or Remember the Titans. Dude, this conversation comes up every year. I don't know. I'm just always in the mood for different football movies. I mean,
we'll see something different. I don't know. I don't always watch. I don't really watch football movies heading into the season to kind of hype myself up, but I enjoy Varsity Blues just because it's funny as hell.
I know, man. Like Tweeter's my guy,
man. Yeah, I mean, really, yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you, man. I just I don't know. Like, I'm not like, okay, for Friday night, I'm going to sit down and watch. But I mean, if The Longest Yard is on, I'll 100% watch that. Rudy was one of my favorite movies growing up. I just love the story. I kind of feel like Sean Astin has kind of gone off the deep end a little bit with some things that he's done over the years, but that's whatever. It's for another day and time. He's kind of turned into a strange bird. So I don't know. It's good question. Good question.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. It is 11. Do what, Phil?
Oh, no, I was sorry. Something I was reacting to in the chat box that we hadn't even said anything about, and I let my internal monologue come out. So no, it's not important.
Oh, okay.
No, it's not important. It was between the chat box and then I looked up at the clock to see what time it was, and yeah, I got my wires crossed there. So no worries. Let's cue up some music here.
I will say this too, when it comes to the movies. I think one of the more underrated football movies ever is The Little Giants.
It is funny.
I love The Little Giants.
It is. They are funny.
I love The Little Giants, man. I just think it's hilarious. I think the
hilarious.
Water Boy is hilarious. Like, I like to laugh. So I think those are hilarious. But I'm with you. I think Varsity Blues it's just hard to beat Varsity Blues, man.
Yeah. I don't know. It felt like it captured that big Texas high school kind of feel,
Yeah.
As well as you just sit there and laugh your butt off.
Yeah, it's just funny.
2 hours. Yeah.
I'm like, still to this day, Mox turning down that whole whipped cream bikini thing. It just drives me nuts.
Talk about willpower.
Yeah. And then I would say, I'll throw 2 more in there. I'll say Friday Night Lights and Jerry Maguire. Friday Night Lights and Jerry Maguire.
I like that little romance in there. Jerry Maguire.
Yeah. Show me the money.
Yeah, I love that.
I love my people.
Quan, Jerry. The Quan.
I think this Cuba Gooding Jr. I think got into some trouble. That was before that hit.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Mike Morgan is up. Matt Anderson is up. Shane Beamer is up in a little over an hour. We are powered by Electric Bikes Charleston. ElectricBikesCharleston.com. We will be right back.
Mike here for one of the better dining options in the capital city. You know, when I first moved there, I asked people around the radio station, where are the best wings? Well, the consensus was D's Wings. That was then. Today, they still have the best wings, but it's so much more. Now in their new location at 415 Meeting Street in West Columbia. Yeah, they get voted the best wings on a routine basis. Yes, they get voted the best sports bar on a routine basis, but they're not just about wings, and really, they're not just a sports bar. It is a family-run local restaurant and bar with 20 TVs and 25 beers on tap. And how about these daily specials? Every Monday night at D's, you've got 75-cent wings from 4 until closing. Tacos on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, 18 wings and a pitcher of beer for $29. You've also got ribs and oyster bucket specials on Thursday. And no matter how big the party is, 20 or more, no problem. Just call ahead of time and they'll take terrific care of you. They'll do takeout as well. And guess what? A human will answer the phone and take the order. Billy and his staff do an outstanding job. Check out D's 415 Meeting Street in West Columbia.
There's nothing like Saturday in South Carolina. However you enjoy Gamecock football, Gamecock Traditions has a long-standing legacy of being a part of your game day. From tailgates to touchdowns, Gamecock Traditions has what you need and want with our beloved Block C logo. Get into Gamecock Traditions in Lexington or the Village at Sand Hill, or visit GamecockTraditions.com and have it shipped to your doorstep. We look forward to taking care of your family. Go Gamecocks.
I'm not allowed to tell the ref how bad he is, so I'm going to need you to do that for me. Oh. He said, you're gone.
I'm a beggar who could use some help. I'm a seeker, searching for myself. I'm a rolling stone, just waiting on a friend. I'm a lover, wishing on a star for another, with a broken heart to hold each other close till the end.
Tony Pope State Farm is your go-to agent anywhere in South Carolina, North Carolina, or Georgia for the service you deserve at the price you want. So try combining your home, life, auto, and or small business insurance today. Tony Pope State Farm has been in business for more than 30 years and can handle anything you need in the tri-state area. 843-851-2222 or visit TonyPope.com today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Nana's Porch, nanasporch.com. At Nana's Porch, they cater weddings, parties, and all kinds of special events. Their meals are served buffet style, and seconds, they're encouraged. Plus, they can bring their mobile food unit to bring on-site and serve your guests as a unique alternative for your catering needs. Inquire about rentals as well. nanasporch.com. Find them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. 336-259-7550. Edward Jones and Eric Ponder present the national anthem at noon every day here on Inside the Gamecocks, the show. You can head to edwardjones.com and find our friend Eric. He went to South Carolina and he has gone overseas and he's been to the border and done everything he can to protect us from that down there. And now he will protect your financial future by heading to edwardjones.com. 864-862-2161. 864-862-2161. Eric Ponder, Gamecock graduate, lives right here in the beautiful state of South Carolina, and he will travel to see you wherever you are. Mike Morgan joins Phil and myself. He'll be here till 2 o'clock. Matt Anderson is at 12:30. I'll step aside at 1 o'clock for a little bit while Shane Beamer is on the podium marking his first real press conference of the year pertaining to the 2024 football season, and then return to fuss and discuss with that. We've got some buy or sell ahead, as I mentioned earlier, and then we also have a drive around the SEC. Hey, Mike.
What's up?
Wait, what were you laughing at?
You I know why he was laughing.
He knows.
Yeah, he knows. Yeah, he knows.
Yeah.
What did I miss?
You did a little commentary on your live read there, which I picked up on.
Oh, yeah.
I picked up on. It's that time. It's that time of the year.
Mm-hmm.
That time of the year.
I'm good at that sometimes.
Yes. Oh, I pick up your subliminals all the time. Yes.
Well, we are glad to have you, Mike.
It's good to be here. It's good to be here.
Let's do. I want to do this. I do want to get to, believe it or not, a basketball story with you in just a second. We're going to run this break at about 12:25 today to get Matt in at 12:30. So we'll get to that. But first and foremost, this happens every single year at South Carolina when that countdown begins. You know, everybody starts around 100, and then we're 11 days till Carolina football. And every single year on the 11 days until Carolina football, everybody, and I'm so happy that they do it, everybody who has been around at least a little while remembers the great Kenny McKinley. And Kenny, of course, him and I were classmates in multiple classes at South Carolina. I was thrilled to get him through one of them. I wasn't that smart. My Kenny was probably smarter than I was. Actually, I know he was. But just there were days where he just didn't care. So we would collaborate on how to, make sure we got through class together, and we did. But beyond that, he was actually just a wonderful human. You, of course, were at South Carolina during Kenny McKinley's era. And I remember when he came in, he was going to be moved to wide receiver. He knew that, but he was a high school quarterback. And he came in, and we're talking about, Mike, we've been talking about for weeks, Mazio Bennett playing as a true freshman wide receiver, and could, now Michael Smith, this tight end, and last year, this freshman and that freshman. Kenny McKinley was a freshman who came in, and there was never any doubt that he was going to play day one. He did basically play day one, and he turned out to be one of the best wide receivers in the history of the school.
Pride of Mableton, Georgia, called a bunch of his games for TV back then when we were doing the tape delay and pay-per-view. Unassuming, kind of quiet. And his play was that way too. There was nothing flamboyant about Kenny McKinley, but he was an outstanding player, really was. And just kind of signified getting the most out of what the good Lord gave you. I mean, he was not he's not one of these Xavier Legette types, right? Or a Sidney Rice for that matter, or, we could go on and on and on. Ace Sanders wasn't big, but man, was he blazing fast. I don't know what Kenny McKinley was other than just a really good receiver. And, we had the conversation last week, and I have a feeling it'll be revisited throughout the year about Nick Harbor. And again, you know how I feel about the wide receiver position. And I just, when people overlook the importance of route running and having a feel for that, should never be underrated. Kenny McKinley had that. Without it, if it was just about measurables, Kenny McKinley would never play in the SEC. Yeah. But Kenny McKinley had a knack for getting open, and of course, he caught almost everything thrown his way. So, outstanding players. He was a privilege to cover during his time in a Gamecock uniform.
And 19 touchdowns, 2,781 career receiving yards, over 207 catches. Of course, at Carolina, never had a 1,000-yard season. As close as he got was 968 in 2007. On 77 receptions. That was his best year. And he did miss a little bit of time in the 2008 season. You wonder about now, like during that time, it's not like South Carolina had hit their stride yet under Coach Spurrier. They hadn't. But 6, 7, 8, there were big wins during that era, although 7 ended really, really poorly. With 5 straight losses. Number 6 in the country, Vanderbilt comes in, and it all goes to crap from there. But still, the thing that I always remembered about Kenny, like you wonder what the future would have been like if there wasn't a Kenny McKinley at South Carolina. And what I mean by that was he was always there when you needed him. How many 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, Kenny's there for 10. He always found a way to make a play. He helped them win some big games. Had they not won some of those big games, I don't know if Coach Spurrier would have lasted until 2010, man. I just don't know. Like they were knocking on the door because they could knock people off. They had learned to beat Florida and Georgia and Tennessee. So you knew that they had a chance to break through and maybe do what they did, and they eventually did. But had they not won some of those games, I don't know, Mike, if Coach Spurrier would have stayed until Marcus Lattimore and that group came along to get them where they went.
Well, there's a lot of people that wanted them gone, if you want to be honest about it.
I used to listen to your show every afternoon and listen to this. It was wild.
It was out there. It was a real thing. There was a lot of, he didn't really care about the university. He's too negative. This is just a stepping stone. He's going to leave. He should leave. Why isn't he calling his own plays all the time? What's up with Junior? Like it was a little messy there for a while. And then, the recruiting, as we talked about quite a bit, obviously jumped up, and Steve kind of found his rhythm. I think Steve, there was a little bit of shock when he first took the job. It was definitely a different level of talent than what he was used to. And you say, well, we didn't have a ton of talent at Duke and he won the ACC. Yeah, but that was the ACC. And that was before the Florida State Seminoles and Miami Hurricanes went into the ACC. Clemson wasn't much to look at back then. I think it was actually North Carolina who they beat to clinch the ACC title in '89. So it was a little bit of an adjustment period. And I've always respected the fact that he went away from his comfort zone The offense you saw, the fun and gun was the nickname for it, but it really was nothing like what he ran at Florida. Yeah, there were some passing concepts, but the way they approached it was entirely different. It wasn't, okay, let's score 40 and beat whoever we beat, no matter how many points they score on us. It was, let's not be afraid to win a game 24-21, because that's more realistic right now for where we are and what our strengths are. He played more ball control. He played more low-scoring games. He played to control the clock and limit mistakes. It was just a lot of coaches can never change that. I mean, Lou Holtz tried it when Skip ran his spread offense for a couple of years, which were clearly the most successful under the Lou era. And then Dad came in and said, no, I don't want to run that anymore. I want Corey Jenkins and Dondriel Pinkins to run 20 sprint draws a game. And I want to go ahead and try to win that way, because that's what I did at Notre Dame with Tony Rice. And it failed miserably, and that was the end of the Lou Holtz era. Lou did not want to adapt. Steve did.
Yep.
You don't have those years at Carolina if Steve doesn't adapt. And he certainly did that.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. There's no doubt. I'm sitting here, by the way, not trying to be I don't know what the word is, but just looking at some of his game logs, going back, remembering. I was sitting here thinking, I was like, man, in 2007, I knew he had a big game in Athens. He did 7 catches for 102 yards that day. But I guess I forgot about this one, probably because they lost. You remember when Carolina, I mean, I was at the game. I just forgot how big of a game Kenny had. In 2007, they were beaten at Tennessee. And if memory serves me correct, this was the game that Emmanuel Cook almost fell on the fumble at the end, and they would have won, but Tennessee recovered it. And they went on to score, and they went to overtime. Tennessee kicked a field goal, and then Suckup had like a 50-yarder, and he missed it. Do y'all remember that? Missed it wide left. Because I was in the end zone there, and I was trying to figure out how to get to the top of Neyland Stadium so I could hop off. It was a really, it was a really, you had them on the ropes, and
were you there in 05?
Had they? Yeah, I was there in 05 when we finally broke it, but I was there 05, 07, 9, and not 13. Yeah, 13, 15. I've been to Knoxville a bunch. But had they won that game, of course, they wouldn't have had a 5-game losing streak, because after that, they went on to lose against Arkansas. They lost to Florida, and then they lost to Clemson at the end of the year. And they would have, been in a bowl game. Kenny McKinley in that game in Knoxville had 14 catches for 151 yards and a touchdown. I mean, that was the Kenny McKinley show. I just forgot he caught that many balls in that game.
Well, so who? We're talking 07.
07, yeah.
So he's the go-to. Who's the number 2? Refresh my memory.
Ooh, in 07, the number 2.
That's gonna require a little bit of digging.
I'm looking. It was a very
who was the 2? Who was the 3? I mean, obviously Kenny McKinley was the number 1, but I'm just wondering, was there anybody else getting open? Was there anybody else creating separation?
I'd have to go back and really look at all the.
When we talk about those days too, Blake Mitchell is a guy that really could have been. I mean, he was solid,
yeah,
but his career could have been a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been. Could have been a lot better. He kid from LaGrange, came out there, wasn't always what you wanted in terms of work ethic and everything else, but he threw a pretty ball. Wasn't the strongest arm in the world, but Blake threw a pretty ball.
Threw a great ball.
Have y'all? My wife loved to watch Blake Mitchell. Yeah, she was a big Mitchell stan.
Yeah.
And interesting, there is a reason why the two of you can't come up with like a number 2 wide receiver.
Yeah.
Because Kenny in 07, according to sportsreference.com, had 77.
Mo, I would say Mo.
Mo is on there, but Mo Brown, the person that caught the most.
Oh, wait. Hold on.
Behind Kenny was Jared
Wait.
Cook.
Jared Cook.
Yeah,
tight
Jared.
end.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Dion LaCorn.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Dion
LaCorn.
LaCorn.
Yeah.
There's a name.
Yeah.
Jared Cook, who Steve once after practice called Little T.O.
Yeah.
Back then, that was when Terrell Owens was like the you-know-what in the NFL, and Cook was built like T.O.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jared. Well, that tight end room was phenomenal. One of my dear friends, Andy Boyd, was in that tight end room. He's the forgotten man because the other two were named Wesley Saunders and Jared Cook.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, that was Andy's 80th year in college. He had been at South Carolina since 1926.
Yeah.
So, Boyd, if you happen to be listening, I'm just messing with you. He hasn't aged a bit, but the tight end room was phenomenal. They just didn't. The wide receiving core wasn't very good.
All these names are coming out now on Chat Row. Like Sir James says Noah Whiteside, Reed Davis says Freddie Brown.
I don't think Noah
wasn't on this team.
Noah wasn't on that team.
When was Noah done?
05.
He's talking about when he broke his foot in the spring.
5 or 6.
And that was
5.
That was a loss because Whiteside was a guy who was more of a burner than Kenny was.
Both on and off the field, yeah.
Well, if we're gonna go down that path, you better get your pen and pad out there, big guy. I learned a lot about the modern athletes' recreational habits over the years, and that is nothing surprising.
Yeah, Noah caught the first touchdown pass from Blake against Central Florida.
UCF. Yep.
Anybody know who caught the second? I mentioned his name.
Brown?
No.
I mean, Boyd?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant to say. Brown.
Yeah.
Boyd, okay.
Yeah, and you know what route it was? It was, except for, I can't remember, I don't know the names of the routes, but it was pretty much the same route that Busta Anderson caught. Like, Busta Anderson had like 20 catches in his career at South Carolina, and 19 of them were for touchdowns. It was that sneaky little drag route that ran across the field, and nobody was ever there, and he just caught it and walked into the end zone.
Well, and that's another
play for Andy. Yeah.
If you were a tight end, you didn't play in Spurrier's offense at Florida. Like that was not going to equate to a lot of numbers for you.
Mm-hmm.
You were Steve loved to go to wideouts. He did not go to a lot of tight ends. But again, he evolved and he saw what the strengths could be for the team. And if you don't have, Alshon Jeffries all over the place, then sometimes a tight end is your best friend.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, he started flexing, if y'all remember, I've got something in my eye. He started flexing Jared Cook out that year, and he would line up as a wide receiver.
Jared basically was a wide receiver, even in the NFL. I mean, we called him a tight end.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But Jared wasn't blocking anybody, and Jared had all the physical skills of a marquee wide receiver.
Yeah.
And his NFL career was kind of up and down. He was injured a lot, but every now and then he flashed, and it's like, whoa, okay, this guy is looks like a Pro Bowler. But he might have made a Pro Bowl. I can't remember. So many people back out of that game, and then other people come in. So technically you made a Pro Bowl, but you weren't first team or second team. But yeah, he was basically a wideout designated. He was like a Shannon Sharp. Shannon could block because he was thick, but for the most part, he was flexed. Mm-hmm. He was working the slot. I mean, that's like so many of the modern tight ends of today in the NFL. They're not doing a whole lot of blocking.
No. And that wasn't Jared's. He didn't care for that.
No.
Quite frankly, Wesley didn't care much for it either. Andy did. Andy enjoyed it. Andy laid a block in 2006 in the swamp. Carolina should have won that game, but that suspended kid who wasn't suspended blocked 3 kicks.
Jarvis Moss.
Yeah, what a jerk.
Rob DeBoer and I did that game, of all people.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Rob DeBoer. I was JC and I were going back and forth on a text message today, all the different TV partners I had during that time there, and it started with George Rogers, and then I think we told the Dave Odom story, which was like eating cake. Who just shows in 5 minutes before his showtime eating a piece of cake. I'm your analyst, Brad Edwards, who was about to refuse to do that Mike Rath game at Kentucky
Yeah.
Because we didn't have a booth inside. They told us you're going to have to do it outside. It was like 20 degrees, wind chill of 8. And he's like, well, I'm not doing it. I was like, no, Brad, that's not how it works, buddy. You don't just get to say no hours before kickoff. You signed up for it. We're doing it. I don't want to.
That is ridiculous.
Well, of course it's ridiculous. But we had to go to Walmart and get these heavy jackets, and we just call the game in heavy jackets. Trust me, I've done it in worse. But Jonathan Martin, I think, was with us for a time. Josh Brown, the hero of that 05 Tennessee game, was the guy for a year. Brad Edwards.
Josh married lawyer Lisa,
I did not know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I make fun of him all the time. I'm like, why don't you get in any of these commercials? No, nobody wants to see me. Good point.
Good point. Oh, Mike Hold.
Yeah.
Worked with Mike Hold for a couple years.
I bet that was kind of interesting. Mike's a really good guy, but he's a little reserved. He's not very...
It's funny. I was just at the doctor the other day, and the guy who was hooking me up to the machine to do all kinds of tests or whatever, he's like, "You look familiar," and I was like, "Well, do I owe you money?" What? He's like, "No, you're on TV, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, what it?" And so I start telling him what I'm doing. Meanwhile, he's like taking vital statistics on my heart rate and all this stuff. I'm like, let's stay focused here, and then we'll get to the. But he was a fullback for the Georgia Force in the Arena League, and he remembered Mike Hold very well because Mike Hold was a coach in that league. So him and Mike Hold are buddies. So he's like texting Mike Hold as we're doing the tests. Yeah, wow. With Mike here, he says he did some games in the post game call-in show with you. I'm like, yeah, okay. But yeah.
So am I good or?
Yeah, for all I know, I'm going to die tomorrow. But at least this guy got to share a go down memory lane with Mike Hold.
Yeah.
So that was nice. That was but yeah, there's a lot of interesting names on that list that we're doing, and then it's kind of like the sideline reporters, which many of them would after the sideline would come up and do the post game show with me. But then they'd be gone a year later. It was like so much turnover. We must have led the country in sideline reporters over a 15-year span. It's like, yeah, what happened? Oh, he's gone. Oh, okay, sure.
It's kind of back to that now. With
is it really? I don't even
been
know.
Rotating through them, here past few years.
You know that gig, Mike. There's nothing in that gig that's really appealing. I mean,
you gotta love it, man. You gotta love it.
Yeah, I mean it's whatever. I wouldn't do it if they asked me to do it. I'd say no, no way. But
I was on the sideline because somebody couldn't do it that week for the 63-17 game.
Oh, jeez,
that was a long 3.5 hours.
That was a long night. Yeah, golly.
Yeah. What are you going to report on at that point?
Yeah, right. I hate JC's not here because he's done sideline reporting for.
I know.
Burns. Yeah. I remember that. It was like 2017-ish, maybe 16.
Oh, he talks about it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man.
Not fondly, but he talks about it.
Yeah, awful.
He hated it. I don't think the experience was one he was enamored with, but he definitely did it.
Between that and his 6 dingers, we'll be here all day.
Yeah. Well, hey, before we get behind, because I know we have who's coming up at 12:30 again?
Matt.
Okay, the king of late
Matt's
night.
going to play some buy or sell with us. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. We got new theme music, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm reloaded up on that and ready to
go. I love theme music. Is big for me.
Jingle bells.
Love a good theme. I do want to mention Carolina Discount Appliances. Love a good deal on a new appliance. Which look, we all have to go through them, right? None of them last forever. I was talking to like a repair guy the other day. He's like, Mike, I have to fix things that normally would last for 20 years. Nothing lasts anymore. We don't make things in this country that last anymore. It's kind of a sad commentary. And unfortunately, that is the case. So your appliances probably don't last as long as they do either. So what are you going to do? Are you going to stroll around a Best Buy, get no help, and pay more than you need to? No, you're going to call Sherry. If you're in the state of South Carolina, you should. Same brand, same appliances. They simply cost hundreds of dollars less. Same brands, same appliances. They cost less money. That's 803-770-3008. You folks watching on YouTube, you can see that number scrolling at the bottom of your screen here in the Power Hour. Sherry of Carolina Discount Appliances, 803-770-3008.
It is 12:26. We are going to step aside for a timeout. When we return, buy or sell. It is a neat buy or sell this week. It is got a mixture of South Carolina and the SEC and some more. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So we hope that you will play along with us. We do have Shane Beamer's press conference ahead at 1:00, and we'll be
We'll tell you all the important stuff he said.
All the important stuff we'll tell you. A lot of it will just be jibber jabber, but a lot of it won't. And we'll also have a drive around the SEC presented by our friends at Love Chevy. So that's coming up as well. It's a jam packed Tuesday afternoon here on ITG.
Oh, appliances. We can't live without them, and eventually we have to replace them, but we don't have to pay more for the new ones. Not with Carolina Discount Appliances. Do you want to go and shop at a bunch of retail stores and determine which one has the lowest overpriced item? Me neither. That's why my first call is always Carolina Discount Appliances. The philosophy is simple. No retail prices. None. It might have a scratch or a ding, but overall it's new and will cost you much less than what you're going to pay anywhere else. So if you need a refrigerator, washer, dryer, stove, range, or microwave, they've got you covered. But for less money. Same brands, same appliances, less money. And Carolina Discount Appliances is the home of the $40 down. Take it home today. No credit needed payment options. Regardless, Sherry has you covered. Call today, 803-770-3008. That's 770-3008. No matter where you're located, same number, same person, Sherry at Carolina Discount Appliances, 803-770-3008. It saved me money. It'll do the same for you.
We got started in 1979. Because we're a manufacturer, we're able to control our costs. That's why we like to manufacture as much of the product as we can, because in our factory stores we can offer a competitive edge over other people around the country. When people come into one of our Palm Casuals, it's like they're buying their car at Detroit. They're going right to the factory and buying their car.
30-day money-back guarantee. That's a big deal with us. I mean, we give 30 days to do anything. I mean, return it, change it, get a different color, get your money back.
When you pull into a store and it says Palm Casual, you know you're at a factory store.
Charleston Fitness Equipment is keeping South Carolina in shape. Clients have come from all over the Palmetto State to find that one piece of equipment that they enjoy that keeps them looking and feeling good. Whether it's a home rower, treadmill, elliptical, free weights, a home gym, or something else, Charleston Fitness Equipment keeps the mirror smiling back at you. Get in shape like the Gamecocks do. Visit charlestonfitnessequipment.com. Gamecock owned and operated and proud partners of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
What Right to Bear is we're an association of members across the entire country, and what we offer is we offer legal defense in the event of a self-defense case. Nice. So it's not insurance. So we offer an attorney in the event that one of our members might have some type of an accident. ProtectWithBear.com. We've got all of our social media accounts on the bottom of our website. We've got blogs, articles, detailed description of all of the coverages in depth, and we'd love to have you come check us out and ultimately get the protection you need.
Hi, I'm Joel Lurie. If you're turning 65 this year or retiring soon, you probably have questions about Medicare. How do I enroll in Medicare? When do I need to enroll? And what plan fits my needs and budget?
Why use an out-of-state call center when you can work with a local agency?
At Lurie Life and Health, we'll research your doctors and prescription drugs, and we'll help you find the plan to meet your needs and budget.
Lurie Life and Health. Our service is at no cost. Call Lurie Life and Health in Columbia, 803-256-2067.
It's time to buy or sell on Inside the Gamecock Show.
It is 12:30. Welcome back Inside the Gamecocks, the show. As Mike has dubbed him, the king of late night, at least our king. Matt Anderson joining us here for the rest of the afternoon. What's up, dude?
Oh, your audio's doing that weird thing again.
Little breaky, little crackly. See if you can fix that.
The king of late night deserves a better internet hookup. I think we can all agree on that.
It's a Bluetooth confusion problem. It's interesting. There's like extra communication trying to go on, and it makes him. It's like it's overloading the system there. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah,
I find the best way to start a segment is with a technical leader.
always. Well, it's a great transition into this.
Beautiful, yes.
How about this is brought to you by our friends at Right to Bear. For the responsible gun owner, protectwithbear.com. Education, get your family's legal plan together, get protected. If you haven't been to protectwithbear.com and you own firearms, what are you waiting on? As low as $15.41 a month. Perry Orth can tell you all about it. He's the vice president. I'll tell you that. It is an awesome website. Educate you on everything. And if you haven't discovered, we live in 2024. Literally anything can happen. And that's what these guys are there for. They found a niche. They got into it. Now they own it. Protectwithbear.com. All right. You ready to buy or sell? Yeah, go ahead.
Can I just add one thing? Buy or sell Jared Cook as a Pro Bowler. I was kind of just thinking in my mind, and Skyland Reed Davis, who's on fire today,
that's
said
pork chop. Pork chop.
That's pork chop.
Okay.
Yeah, we call him pork chop.
I like both nicknames. 2 Pro Bowls for Cook, which got me to thinking, okay, who's the last Gamecock offensive player to make a Pro Bowl? Who are we missing here?
Alshon?
Did Alshon make I don't think Alshon made a Pro Bowl.
Oh, is it an O-lineman?
I mean, if he did, he was like an alternate. He was never like first team All Pro. I don't think he was. I mean, maybe I'm overlooking that.
Pro Bowl in 2013.
Was he All Pro, or just like again the 5th guy?
Right, Pro Bowl or All Pro?
Yeah, that's a big difference.
No, he was a Pro Bowler in 2013.
Well, you can be a Pro Bowler but not be All Pro.
Right.
Because the problem with the Pro Bowl is nobody wants to play in it. So if 7 people turn it down, you could be the 8th guy. Bruin says Clowney. I'm thinking just offensive right now.
Oh, Debo.
Debo.
We have
Debo.
Yep. Think that
Debo.
hard. Yeah.
Debo, absolutely. How many other guys are we?
Recently?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not going back to like Sterling Sharp, but just offensive guys to make the Pro Bowl.
Sidney made a Pro Bowl, didn't he?
Oh, let's see.
Sidney Rice, I think some people forget how good of a career he had. It was pretty good.
Well, he's another guy when he got to the NFL had a lot of injuries.
Yeah. That year in 2009 was...
That Brett Favre year was something special.
Yeah.
George got 2 Pro Bowls.
Second team All Pro in 2009.
James says Hayden Hurst.
Really?
I don't think Hayden made it.
I don't think Hayden Hurst made it.
Might have been that.
Let me rephrase it to keep this in. Look at All Pro. Don't look at Pro Bowl. Because there are like 9th stringers that make Pro Bowls.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to play in the game. The game's a joke. So
the reality of it is, that game. They shouldn't even play the game.
No, they shouldn't. Gamecock offensive players to make NFL All Pro.
Yeah, if I would have go to the media guide, Carolina will have it in there somewhere.
That's probably. I mean, we don't have to think about it right now. That's my brain just went in that direction, and when you go down a rabbit hole, sometimes it's hard to crawl out of it. But I started thinking of names in my head, and
yeah, it's in there. Find it.
That's in there somewhere. Page 97, paragraph 3. Steve Fink put some extra blood, sweat, and tears into that.
Yeah, where's Coach Fink when we need him? Come on, Coach.
Finker, go ahead and hit us up.
Yeah, he doesn't have anything else going on today.
Nah.
All right.
Worried about a press conference or something?
Matt, are you ready to play some buy or sell presented by Right to Bear?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
There you go. That's a Pro Bowl connection right there.
There, Matt's back.
All right. We will start with Matt since he has just joined our program. South Carolina will start at least 2 true freshmen versus Old Dominion.
Well, I think we all agree that everything we've heard says that Josiah Thompson's going to be starting at left tackle. So the question in my mind is Mazeo Bennett going to start, or is Dylan Stewart going to start? So you're saying at least 2. I'm going to sell that. I think that they'll stick with the guys that have been there for a little bit and the older guys.
What about you, Mike?
I'll sell it, but I want to buy because I want to see Dylan Stewart in week 1 and just let him cook, see what he can do, prep him for Kentucky. The conventional wisdom says usually you play it a little more conservatively than that, unless you're 1,000% convinced he's ready.
Well, for what it's worth, Dylan Stewart will play. He just won't. I don't think he'll start.
Yeah, that's the thing, is the starting.
Start, right?
Yeah, the question is.
I think Mazeo has a better chance to start than Dylan. Just my take.
Yeah, agreed.
I posed that question a week or 2 ago about the wide receivers. I guess it was with Whittle. I mean, that's a game in itself. Guess the starting 3. Good luck with that.
We talked Alex about that earlier. Mike. We've played this game every week. Ask everybody. They all have 3. And in the last 2, 3, 4 weeks, nobody has said Jared Brown. And all of a sudden, Jared Brown is right in line maybe to get a starting nod. So,
and my guess is it'll change multiple times throughout the year.
I stand on that. I will continue to say that this group will not be decided in preseason. It's going to take game action for these guys to separate.
And I would say that about a lot of stuff. I mean, like, talking practice is fine. Getting practice tidbits. You guys, the Big Spur, do as good a job as can possibly be done on that. But honestly, there's so much that will not be determined until you start seeing these guys on Saturdays when the lights are on. Like, that's when you start separating and really figuring out what you're dealing with. Practice can only give you so much.
Phil, you're selling that. Did I hear that right?
No, I'm buying.
I'm buying. Ooh.
Bullish.
So you're going with Bennett or Stewart? Here you go.
Michael Smith.
Phil, you think that Michael Smith is going to start over Josh Simon?
He's been making waves. Get him out there. Put a 2 tight end set out there, one experienced. Michael Smith.
Making waves.
He's making waves.
It's like a quote.
Just to say, it could be Smith, Bennett, or Stewart. None of them would shock me. I'll put it that way. But I think 2 of them are going to break into the starting rotation.
Okay. All right. If you're right on Michael Smith, then
it's ODU. So it could, there's the other side of this is we may not see the same starting lineup for 2 weeks in a row, right? I mean,
or even 2 halves.
I mean, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is like
this is the kind of game you want to have some breathing room, and then the third quarter
you get
right. Yeah. Now, the problem with that is when teams do that, and that's when you can get bit in the rear end if you're kind of taking it too lightly. But Taylor Heineke's not walking through that door, Monarchs.
No.
That's all right.
All right, Mike, we'll lead off with you here on number 2, buy or sell. The Gamecocks is the last one that references specifically South Carolina. The Gamecocks will be favored in more than 4 games this season.
Boy, you hit the number. I will say they'll be favored in 5 games, so I will go over. I will buy it. Was it over or under, or buy or sell?
Buying and selling an over under.
Buy, so you're buying.
I'm buying the over.
The Gamecocks will be favored in more than 4 games. You're buying.
I say stone cold favorite in 5. Maybe even a pick 'em in there.
What do you think, Phil?
I want to buy that. The stretch of games I think that could lend itself to make that happen is at the beginning, those first 4 games. But then when you look at the next 3 games, it's going to be hard to be favored in those 3 games. But I'm buying it too, because I think there's a couple of late season overs. Yeah.
I'm going to go over this in the drive in the
Late
SEC
season
because
favorites.
early lines are out, and I tried desperately to find a Carolina-Kentucky line because they do have some lines out for games week 2, 3, 4. I couldn't find it anywhere. I will say this: if Carolina goes on the road and beats Kentucky, I would expect them to be a home favorite against LSU. If Carolina does not look good in Lexington, you could expect to be an underdog 2 weeks in a row.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think it, for me, is all about that Kentucky game. Because if Kentucky struggles with Southern Miss and South Carolina blows the doors off ODU, bettors look at it and say, South Carolina's won 2 in a row against Kentucky. Why not make it 3 in a row at home? And then you look at that LSU game, and LSU struggles with Southern Cal in the first game of the season. Another home game. I mean, those are the 2 I think are likeliest. But I could see a situation where South Carolina's a favorite at Clemson this year. I could see that happening. Clemson, is 7-4.
I think there's a case to be made for the A&M game, depending on what happens between now and then.
100%.
I think Missouri's in that category too.
I would agree with that too.
Late.
It's
late.
Mm-hmm.
In November, I don't think Missouri is as good a team, just roster-wise. I don't want to get into the record game, win-loss. Their schedule is one of the easiest in the league. I don't think it's as good a roster as it was a year ago.
Defensively, I like them on offense.
Yeah, there's a lot to like on offense. I mean, Luther Burton's one of the best playmakers in the country, and Cook doesn't throw picks
they got their top 4 wide receivers back.
Right.
And I love their tailback.
They lost 4 or 5 guys to the NFL. Like they are not the same defense.
That's the question.
Their coordinator.
And
I don't know if you can just replace him without the talent there. Yeah,
correct.
I'm a little questioning that defense this year.
Which
shootout at Williams-Brice in mid-November. We'll take that.
No, not with that Gamecocks defense. No, 3 picks in the first quarter for Connor.
That's true.
All right, so
ugly on them.
Are we all buying this? We're all
buying.
I am buying it.
Yeah,
Matt,
I'm buying it. Yeah.
How much? Okay. All right. All right, here you go. These things get a little tricky now. Everybody calm down. Mad Dog, we'll start with you. A team will win a conference title in its first year in their new league.
I'm going to buy that, but it's not the obvious answer.
What was the obvious? Texas?
Yeah, I think everybody's kind of like leaning on Texas to compete for the SEC, right? But
what are you going with? Cal?
I like Utah in the Big 12. Although Cal is,
love
Cal
that pick.
Overperforms. Look out.
Love that pick. What about Oregon in the Big
Colorado
10,
low?
Mike?
A distinct possibility.
Yeah.
They just happen to have the latest Heisman odds. Happen to have the favorite to win the award. I vote. Anybody?
They also happen to host Ohio State in the regular season.
Correct. If that is a line you can already get a sneak peek at. They're a slight favorite, believe it or not, against the Buckeyes. I'll buy that. I'm a big Kyle Whittingham guy. For me, he's always one of the most underrated coaches in college football. And for me, the Big 12, the new Big 12, is the most exciting race in college football. Because I can find a handful of teams that can win that league. I can't say that about any other league in college football.
Oh, Big 12 is wide open. It's going to be a heck of a fun season to watch over there. That's for sure. I mean, I really think that every conference, except for maybe the ACC, can say that a new team can win it. So I have to buy this one, JB.
I'm going to buy it too. I just think it's fun. I think this is fun. I like Arizona. If they can, the 2-game stretch that they have in September, although there's a bye week, at Kansas State, at Utah, that's really, really crucial. If they finagle their way through that somehow, watch out.
Their quarterback, Nafita, what was it, back in March, I think it was, I was at the Spurrier banquet there. He has his own awards thing, the first year awards. So a first year coach, for example, first year offensive MVP, first year defensive. Nafita won the offensive one of Arizona, so he was there. Impressive young man. went up, shook his hand afterward. I couldn't believe how little he was. He is a small dude. Jamie, you might look him in the eye. I mean,
No
he
way.
he might be 5'9". He might be 5'9" in shoes. But if you watch tape on him, he balled. He was unreal last year. I mean, the story was their coach, who, of course, is now at Washington. But
yeah,
Nafita is the best quarterback that most of us on the East Coast didn't pay any attention to last year. But he was outstanding.
74% completion rate, boys.
Yeah.
Wow.
Drew Brees.
Yeah, they losing the coach is. So what do you, Matt? Are you buying that or are you selling that?
I'm gonna buy it. I think Oregon wins the Big Ten this year, or the Big,
Whoa.
whatever we call it now.
What?
Yeah, I think Cal wins the ACC.
You don't really believe that, but I'll bet you. Like, I wonder what SMU's odds are.
Yeah, that's the team that really I think has a legit shot. I mean,
somehow
you don't believe that.
You don't
The
really
hell with
believe
you.
that.
Yes, I do.
You're lying to yourself. Who you kidding?
Come on. Might as
If
well said
SMU
Stanford.
somehow beats FSU at home, in like the biggest home game for SMU since Eric Dickerson was in the backfield, they somehow win that game. Who the hell knows? I mean, I don't know what Klubnik's going to be. Does he ever get any better at Clemson? And SMU doesn't have. Florida State is like the one team they have to play. They don't play Clemson. They don't play Miami. I don't think they play NC State. Like, they have a really good conference slate in that league. Remember, they still only play 8 games in the ACC. So,
Yeah, if they beat Florida State,
they could just pull that off.
Their the tricky game they've got is the week after FSU at Louisville. That's going to be.
Are we overlooking Louisville?
Yes.
Not that this is, I think we are.
They won
I
11
really-
games last year. Nobody talks about it.
I like Louisville.
Yeah,
I just
I
don't
like
think they can win the league, but I think they're a good team. It's like NC State.
Well, that's
I
who's
like
going to win the league. It's always somebody that you don't
and
expect.
NC State in the championship game.
If Louisville wins at Notre Dame, the Louisville's problems are like not even home in the month of November. 4 of the last 5 games are on the road. I don't like that.
No, that's tough.
Anyways,
Yeah,
all right.
SMU does not play Miami, Clemson. If you're high on Virginia Tech, they don't play them either. And they don't play NC State. I mean,
No.
they play Louisville and Florida State, and the rest of their schedule is Cal, Pitt, BC, Virginia, Duke, and Stanford. That is a beautiful path to the championship game in Charlotte, where 17,000 raucous fans will be cheering on the ACC title game.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Cal and Boston College in Charlotte's going to really be a banger for national television.
They got the second coming of Marshawn Lynch out there, according to who was saying
Look,
that. Yeah,
I don't know how SMU fans feel about this, but I know I am just beyond fired up for 5:00 on September the 21st to watch SMU and TCU on the good old CW network. Welcome to the ACC, boys.
That's right.
That's
Coming up
Skillet
next,
game.
Dawson's Creek.
Yeah, as soon as James Vanderbeek gets off stage, we'll get you out on the field. Y'all hang tight.
Hey, that's
All
Johnny.
right.
That's Johnny Mox to you, or Mox.
Right.
Yeah,
that's right.
well,
Don't-
screw
Don't
him.
disrespect him, and don't disrespect. Maybe that's not your life, Jamie, but I don't want your life.
Look here, man. I got no respect for anybody that turns down a frapping whipped cream bikini. Okay, so
Well, I'm with you there. Elizabeth Smart, no less, with the bikini. I believe that's her name. King of Late Night. That's more your generation. Was that Elizabeth Smart?
yeah, no, that was the other
Can't
girl.
tell ya.
That was his girlfriend.
Oh, Elizabeth Smart was the girlfriend. Who was the
Yeah.
whipped
I
cream
can't
bikini
remember her
girl?
name.
Oh, we're not going to end this hour until.
All right,
Phil,
all
we
right.
need
all
to-
right, all right.
This is
I
what the
remember getting
American
made
people
fun of
need to
it,
know
not
today.
that
Well, this
I
is
mean-
this is where the chat box should be.
Buy or
coming in.
sell.
One of these
cream
chat box
bikini
perverts
girl
has
in
got the
varsity
answer to this,
boots.
right? You know? Come on. It's fine. Craig, come on, man. We know that you know. Quit
Buy
acting
or
like
sell, willpower.
Yeah, look, no, all these guys are. Yeah, I see y'all are all quiet over there.
Yeah, they're all. I don't know her name. I don't know. My wife's watching this.
I was going to say, are the wives?
I don't know who they're talking about.
Working over the shoulders in the chat room.
Usually you mention Sydney Rice and everybody starts chatting about Sydney Sweeney. You know,
like, I know our audience. There's somebody out there knows who that is without having to
Allie
look
Larder.
Allie Larder.
Allie Larder?
Allie Larder.
That's not the name I was expecting.
No. Yeah.
I wanted something a little more exotic, but okay.
Is our chat box turned off? Oh, here we go. Yeah, there we go. Bruins got it.
Right.
Yeah.
Carter?
Oh.
No, it's Larder. It's
Larder? Larder?
Larder.
Yeah.
T-E-R. Oh, Craig kind of said, these chat box creeps. Whatever.
What happened to Allie Larder? Has she not done any more work? I mean, it seemed to me like that's a talent. There's Meryl Streep, there's Glenn Close, there's Allie Larder. Like, can we not get a good role for this young lady?
She's 48.
Typecast.
So a more mature role, maybe a sequel to Fatal Attraction or something.
To figure out what all has she been in?
Oh, I am deep.
Hey,
Legally
this
Blonde.
Might be more you. You remember Not Another Teen Movie?
Oh, love Not Another Teen Movie.
When the quarterback did it to himself and walked out.
Well, she was in the Final Destination series, Miss Larder.
Oh, it's been brought in.
The League, Resident Evil, The Rookie. Oh, that's a show.
She needs a new agent. Allie, we need to find you a new agent.
She does need a new agent.
Clearly, they did not see
This is garbage.
The beauty in your acting and
The League. Anyways, all right, we got to move on.
Sorry.
She was in one episode in Entourage. All right, we got two more here.
Oh, she was. Oh, very good.
One episode. So you're right. She needs a new agent. All right, number 4. We'll start back with the King of Late Night. The national champion will not win its conference title.
Ooh. I mean, that's just such a gauntlet to have to run through, winning your conference championship and then going through the playoff teams. Like in college basketball, I always don't want, the team to win their conference tournament before the NCAA tournament. So I'm going to say the national champion does not win their conference championship game. So I will buy that.
What about you, Mike?
I'm going to sell it. Georgia or Ohio State wins their respective conference and then wins the Natty.
Phil?
Place your future bets.
Mike
just told you.
Place them down. Place them down. I hope I'm wrong, by the way. I think that'd be kind of boring.
Yeah.
You're selling?
Yeah,
I'm selling. I'm selling too. I just, if you win the conference championship, you're going to get a bye.
Big advantage.
Yeah.
People talk about the home game. The home game's great, but it's still an extra game.
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I'd rather have the bye.
Yeah, we're talking
the one that really gets screwed is the team that loses the conference championship game and then has to circle the wagons and play an additional game, potentially on the road. That's
true. It's tough.
That's a tough one.
All right. And finally, question number 5, buy or sell, presented by Right to Bear. Legal defense, protectwithbear.com. We'll start with you, Mad Dog. No SEC teams, not any, none, zilch, 0. No SEC team will be undefeated in the regular season. They'll all have at least one loss.
Oh, wow. I'm gonna buy that. I can see everybody taking an L.
You hear that, Shane? Phil thinks you're gonna lose a game this year.
Just one, Shane. It's just one.
Matt. Oh, sorry.
No,
sorry,
go
Matt.
ahead. Go ahead, Conan.
All right, I'm gonna buy that as well. Everyone's gonna have a loss.
I am a massive buy on that. There's no way Georgia wins all 3 of those road games. Texas is not going undefeated, and Alabama is not going undefeated. So I'm a massive buy on that.
I'm buying it too, and I just feel like this is just setting up for just a beyond chaotic selection process to this college football playoff. Yeah, I think this is going to be a mess. I predict a mess is coming.
Are they still massaging the tiebreaker? Do we have anything?
Yeah, we don't have one
there yet. I didn't think so.
Nothing. Figured it out. Wow, pretty remarkable.
They can always just I don't want to say lazily. They can always easily just say, well, whoever's higher ranked in the playoff rankings.
God,
I think that's going to end up being it, but then that'll create.
That takes away.
That's going to diminish your season.
That doesn't sound good to me. I don't know that I would do that. They got to go to head-to-head first, and then.
Well, that'll be first, but the question is after head-to-head.
Like, what's 8th?
Yeah,
right. What was your average attendance? We're Vanderbilt. Oh, then you're out.
I remember one year there were 3 teams in the SEC West on the verge of being 6-2, and everybody was 1-1 versus each other, and you kept looking at all these tiebreakers, and it went down to like number 9 in the SEC stipulated tiebreaker, which was a vote by the 9 athletic directors not involved in the 3-way tie. I am not making this up. That was going to determine who got to Atlanta. Could you even imagine?
Oh, God.
Who do I imagine what would be going on? You need to build another wall around the SEC offices in Birmingham like they're doing in Chicago right now.
And if that happens to Alabama, that would change before the season was over, before next year.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
Nobody said the same rules apply to everybody, Jamie.
Yeah, they don't. That's clear. Okay, we'll hit a timeout, a drive around the SEC coming up with the Golden Tones. Shane Beamer on the podium as well. We will fuss and discuss all of that once he is finished speaking. And we hope you'll stick around. We know you will until 2 o'clock. Hang tight. Hour 3 of ITG, built by the Barn Co. coming up.
Charleston Fitness Equipment is keeping South Carolina in shape. Clients have come from all over the Palmetto State to find that one piece of equipment that they enjoy that keeps them looking and feeling good. Whether it's a home rower, treadmill, elliptical, free weights, a home gym, or something else, Charleston Fitness Equipment keeps the mirror smiling back at you. Get in shape like the Gamecocks do. Visit charlestonfitnessequipment.com. Gamecock owned and operated and proud partners of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Coach O here, and when I'm not eating average jambalaya or celebrating endless summer in Destin, I like to eat pimento cheese straight off the bucket. And the only pimento cheese I like to eat is from Nana's Porch. It's award-winning, it'll melt in your mouth, it's good on a cracker, it's good in a bowl, it's good on a piece of bread. Also, don't forget Nana's Porch has a hell of a food truck. It's award-winning as well, and they're here for all of your catering needs. So get online, nanasporch.com. It's good. Coach O signing off. Endless summer, go Tiger.
If you're wondering whether a bottle of Chicken Cock whiskey makes a great gift, the answer is absolutely. After all, it's a fine Kentucky straight bourbon that's had that name since 1856, when it was completely appropriate to name a whiskey Chicken Cock. That said, if you're worried your gift recipient might be offended, perhaps a better gift would be a pair of pliers to help remove the stick they've got up their Chicken Cock whiskey, a gift as memorable as its name.
Oh man, the building is on fire.
Emergencies and accidents happen. When you're in the middle of a fire or water event, all you want is for things to return to normal as soon as possible. Resto Pros of the Midlands is with you, guiding you through the process and working with you to get your home or office back in working order. They'll answer your questions, discuss procedures, and can act as your advocate when it comes to processing your insurance claim. Resto Pros Midlands SC.com. Open 24/7 when you need them. Quality that is guaranteed.
Edward Jones is a proud sponsor of Inside the Gamecocks, the show on the Chief Sports Network. Call me, financial advisor Eric Ponder, at 864-862-2161 for all your investment needs. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
The electric grid that had been placed under Lambeau, so that
the field would never freeze.
Those two things are all the NCAA has. That's all they have. They're not worth anything without the men's basketball tournament and now the women's tournament.
Listen to these interviews and more on the JC and Morgan podcast by downloading the Chief Sports app. Part of the Chief Sports Network.
Welcome home. That's what the Gamecocks say, and so does nationally recognized the Barndominium Company, where they are building dream homes in the Carolinas, Georgia, and Tennessee. Their turnkey process can be custom designed and takes 6 months on average. Make your dream a reality. Visit thebarndominiumco.com. Thebarndominiumco.com. Gamecock owned and operated.
With a little love and some tenderness, we'll walk upon the water, we'll rise above the mist. With a little peace and some harmony, we'll take the world together, we'll take them by the hand. 'Cause I got him for you. I said get up and let me see you smile. We'll take a walk together, walk the road a while. 'Cause I got a hand for you, I got a hand for you. I wanna run with you, or to let me run with you. Hold my hand, want you to hold my hand.
It's now time to take a drive around the SEC.
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet. Incredible summer savings all summer long on the entire lineup of award-winning Chevys. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
All right. Welcome back. It is the Power Hour of ITG here on a Tuesday. The king of late night, Matt Anderson, Mad Dog Phil Mullinax, Mike Morgan with you here for the final hour. Jamie will be back with us in a moment. He's kind of eavesdropping on Shane Beamer's press conference. We'll get you everything that's relevant from that. Any breaking news, of course, you'll get it here as you always do. It is time now for the drive around the SEC presented by the good folks at Love Chevy. We love to love. We're lovers on this show. We even love the whipped cream bikini, if truth be told. But not as much as we love Chevy. In Columbia, we love their fearless leader, Ben Hoover, the executive manager. We love all the inventory that they have, and we love the $1,000 low price guarantee. Buy your next Chevy with confidence from the folks that make car buying fun and affordable. You can also check out some of their inventory on lovechevy.com. I was talking to somebody the other day from your neck of the woods, Phil, the Greenville area, and he made the short drive to Columbia and loved Chevy. As he saw the inventory on the website, found what he wanted, knew he was going to get the best price. All good. All right. This is a story we could do a whole segment on, but now many of you have heard this. This is the new normal. We keep just recalibrating what the norm is in college football, but Alabama has themselves, whatever you want to call this, a general manager, a director of player personnel, but for $825,000, they have pretty much secured Courtney Morgan with the title of, again, GM, director of player personnel. It doesn't matter what the title is. It's basically that's what you're doing. As this continues to mirror the NFL, he's in charge of giving the guys money. He's in charge of making sure everybody's happy. There's an interesting quote by Mike Gundy today, or maybe it was yesterday, I guess, in a presser. He's basically saying, for those kids on our roster that your agents are calling me and asking for more money, that's done. That's already done. We talked to me in December when the contract is up and when the portal is open, but we're not negotiating with a week away from the start of the college football season. Some people don't like Mike Gundy for a lot of reasons. I promise you, every head football coach was saying, amen, thank you, brother, because we don't need to be talking about, he got an extra $25,000. I want an extra $25,000. No, it is what it is. You want to be treated like pros. When you're a pro, once you sign that contract, they're not going to change it at this point during the season. They're not going to have like holdouts like we do in the NFL. But 820, yeah.
Can you pull a scholarship like that, or does it have to be honored for a semester?
They run for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, I mean
it's annual.
Yeah, because I'm saying, if you don't have this deal done by camp, and you try to hold out, I'd pull that from under you and be like, well, you know what?
Yeah.
Tuition's on you, big boy.
But Phil, these are what he's talking about. These deals are already done.
Right.
Like they're pen to paper.
Yep.
The starting wideout is making $100,000 in Stillwater. Just throwing out numbers. I have no idea if that's accurate or close to accurate. And then all of a sudden he wakes up one morning and says, I'm feeling 150.
Oh, he wants to renegotiate.
He wants to renegotiate.
Yeah. Okay.
So they're already all the
No.
NIL deals. The hay is in the barn, and then some of these players are like, "Hey, I just heard the wide receiver at my in-state rival. He's making 200. I'm only making 100." He talks to his agent. The agent calls up Mike Gundy or somebody at the football office and says, "Well, we want to renegotiate." And Mike Gundy is saying, "No. That's not how this works. You got a problem. You wait till December when the season's over. You want to enter the portal, you do it in December, and you go. But for now, we're not talking money anymore. This is time to actually talk season and playing ball, which is what supposedly you came here to do in the first place." But Courtney Morgan, if you're kind of wondering his background, he was with Kalen DeBoer at Washington, and a big part of those recruiting classes they got to come to Seattle. Southern Cal tried to hire him away, and DeBoer moved quickly to secure his future in Tuscaloosa, sealing a market-smashing extension. So $850, how many schools can afford to pay a guy that doesn't coach, just basically a GM, $850,000? Like I said, this is becoming the new normal. Every school is going to have, whatever you want to label them, is some version of that. Stay tuned for more details on that. I mentioned this earlier, SEC Heisman odds, or just Heisman odds in general. Of the top 5 guys, Dylan Gabriel of Oregon is number 1 at plus 750. Want to guess who number 2 is? Late night?
Let's say Quinn Ewers at Texas.
Mad Dog?
Oh, Beck.
Carson Beck.
Yeah.
Plus 800 for Beck. Ewers is plus 1,000. He's 3rd. By the way, Ewers will be in the Fansville Dr. Pepper commercials this year. So you always love them in the first week, and then by week 7, you're like, I might like Dr. Pepper, but I'm just about tired of this whole thing. Can we get rid of Brian Bosworth? Can we do something here? You'll see plenty of Quinn Ewers pawning Dr. Pepper.
So they ought to have Manning behind him, trying to influence him to do stupid stuff.
he would roofie the Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, you're right.
Hey, Quinn, man, have a sip.
This might be a missed opportunity here, Doctor.
This would be good for you, buddy. By the way, were we able to pull the Lane Kiffin Coke?
No, I couldn't get it. Yeah, I couldn't get it in
okay.
time. No,
there's just a funny cut. You folks can look at it. He goes to a press conference, and there's a bottle of Coke there, which is what Nick Saban used to do before every conference. And he looks at it and he says, 65 grams of sugar. This is like 133% of your sugar allowance all day long. Who drinks this stuff? So I don't think there's going to be a Coke deal for Lane Kiffin anytime soon. So Gabriel's 1, Beck is 2, Ewers 3, and then there's a tie for 4th between 2 quarterbacks. Late night, you want to take a guess?
I'll pass.
Golly.
That's very unlike you, Late Night.
Yeah,
You've always got good guesses.
Well,
you know it's going to be quarterbacks, right?
Yeah.
No, either.
We know that much. So think SEC.
Yeah, is it Connor?
Is it who?
Wigman? Is it Wigman?
Oh, Wigman? No,
no,
not Wigman. Although if he stays upright, there are a lot of
I
people
could see
that
him
think,
be a good bet.
yeah. You know
what? I'm going to throw a dart.
Oh, look at that! Look at Mad Dog.
Throw a dart down
He's
there.
getting answers correct. He's throwing out puns. I mean, Mad
Feeling
Dog
myself today.
He just brought his A game today. I don't know what you have, like an extra. What you put in your coffee this morning? Yeah, it's Dart and Milrow. Dart and Jalen Milrow plus 1,400. Those are so 4 of the top 5 Heisman odds makers favorites this year. If you were to go, say, to a DraftKings.com and wager on such a thing. 4 of the top 5
Gamecocks play 3 of them.
Yeah.
yeah, and 3 of them are on the schedule. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Speaking of odds, some early odds just updated that involve SEC teams. First off, in week 1, Georgia, 14-point favorite against Clemson. Vanderbilt, a 13.5-point dog against Virginia Tech. Florida, a 2.5-point favorite against Miami. Texas A&M, a 2.5-point favorite against Notre Dame, speaking of Connor Wigman. LSU on Sunday will be a 6-point favorite against Southern Cal in the what did we really get with Lincoln Riley game. And then you can even jump to like week 2. Texas is a 3.5-point favorite against Michigan.
Wow, I think that'd be more.
Yeah, that might grow. That might grow. Week 3, Alabama at Camp Randall. I'd love to go to this game. -9 for the Tide. And Wisconsin, of course, their new look offensive philosophy. Week 4, Texas A&M is a 4-point favorite at the Swamp. Also, week 4, Oklahoma is a 3.5-point favorite against Tennessee. So
that is a lot of credit Florida's getting, Mike. Florida's getting a lot of credit.
As a home underdog?
Yeah. I mean,
they're
with how Florida finished last year.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, look, everybody thinks first off that you go right to the quarterback. Okay, Graham Mertz. Graham Mertz played well last year. I think there's still reservations about the 2 teams they're playing, and the 2 that I mentioned on the odds. Miami, are they the real deal? And then A&M, again, are they the real deal? And then both teams are in the Swamp.
Yeah, but what's Florida's over-under on the season? I mean, there can't be very many games like that
5.
the rest of the year if you're going to bet on Florida.
Yeah. It's below bowl eligibility.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And, of course, we went over the odds of coaches getting fired yesterday, and sure enough, there's Billy Napier. I think Sam Pittman's a better choice.
I do too. I keep seeing Napier's on the top of a couple of those lists, and I'm like, Bobby Petrino. I think that's it. Pittman is
Arkansas's got their plan B right there on the sideline.
I mean, he's already there.
Yeah, I don't
know.
Pittman
He needs a taste tester for everything he eats and drinks in that facility.
Yeah, I would.
Question. No question. They still curse Bobby Petrino's name in Atlanta, and he wasn't even here that long. But they still are just bitter as hell.
Hey, Mike, real quick on the Billy Napier stuff. You know this better than I do. He has a tremendous buyout. Is Florida they cash strapped or they got it? They can take care of it if they need to?
Well, it's funny. I mean, you talk to the people there, and they were way behind on the NIL and everything else. And they were way behind in facilities for years. And they finally got caught up there. Now, all of a sudden, they're spending money with NIL. Does that mean they want to spend another massive buyout? I don't know. And plus, you're the athletic director. Remember, he didn't hire. This is his second football hire. The first one, Dan Mullen, got rid of him. And this is the second one. A lot of times you have to fire 2 football coaches that quickly. In Gainesville, especially, your AD is going to go along with him. So does he. That would be, to me, if they're going to move quickly on Billy, that's going to be the big money boosters get together in a room and say, we want him out. They Jimbo him. They do what the Aggies did.
Because he still has like 6 years or 7 years on his contract. I mean,
it's a massive deal.
It's not pennies.
No, I've talked about this a number of times. The whole notion that like getting upset about the Will Muschamp buyout. Do you realize what chump change that is? like 11.9 million, whatever it was. That is
Looking
nothing.
back. No.
That's a walk in the park to the buyouts that are great. Sam Pittman, if they do fire him this year, it's another one. It's a massive buyout. Arkansas, they're not going to get off cheap at Arkansas to fire Pittman. But if it gets to that point, it gets to that point. So we were talking a little bit on two positions, quarterbacks and running backs. And this I can relate to Lenoris Sellers and Rocket Sanders. Let me start on the rushing part. So we did, what was it, an over-under fill the other day on Rocket Sanders? I said he goes over 1,000.
Yeah.
And I did the math. Carolina gets into a bowl game, gets maybe a little one way or another, 6-6, 7-5. Gets into a bowl game. That's 13 games. So for him to hit 1K is 77 yards a game. And I felt like I was on an island on that prediction. Look, this is not that hard to do. Last year, 5 players in the SEC ran for over 1,000. Now, one was a quarterback in Jaden Daniels, who had a ridiculous year, which is one of the reasons why he got my Heisman vote. Schrader of Mizzou led the league in rushing, 1,627 yards. That's 125 a game at Mizzou. Judkins, now at Ohio State, was at Ole Miss, 89 yards per game. Ray Davis of Kentucky, really loved his game, 86 yards per game. And Wright of Tennessee, who might be the fastest of that bunch, he ran for 84 yards per game. So
barring injury, Mike, I don't think there's a chance that he goes under 1,000. I mean, barring injury, he's going to hit 1,000.
I like to think so, and that's not a knock on Lenoris Sellers. Like these two are not mutually exclusive. I mentioned the guy who led the conference in rushing, Schrader. Well, his quarterback, Cook, was 4th in passing. Judkins was 2nd in rushing. His quarterback, Dart, was 3rd in passing. Just because you have a running back hit 1,000 doesn't mean you're protecting your quarterback and not letting him throw the ball downfield. If you got a good offense, you're balanced, you can do both things. And I do think
you want to have a 1,000-yard rusher.
Absolutely. If you could promise Lenoris Sellers, the guy behind you, is going to rush for 1,000 like he did 2 years ago in an Arkansas uniform, that's going to open up a lot more things for Mr. Sellers. So I'd like to think he can do that. But it got me thinking of just how many guys did it last year. 4 tailbacks, 1 quarterback in the Southeastern Conference. Again, Schrader was such a beast. He had 21 carries a game. Wow. 21 carries a game for Schrader.
And Judkins had this too.
Oh yeah. Judkins had 20.8 carries a game. Nobody else had more than 15. So what's the number for Rocket? I mean, I'd like to think you can get him the ball more than 15 times a game.
Well, what did the Gamecocks do with Marcus Lattimore? I mean, just as many as you can do, buddy.
Round and pound,
33,
baby.
38.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And that made things easier for whoever the quarterback was that given year, that given game. Anyway, passing-wise, we also did like a straw poll on numbers for Lenoris Sellers, how many rushing, passing. I have that somewhere, Phil. I can't remember where exactly I put it or what exactly our numbers were. I might have been a little bit on the lower end compared to a couple of you guys.
I think I was on the passing numbers, but my justification there wasn't necessarily Sellers' talent in his arm, but it just makes sense, I think, for this team to run first.
That's what I envision, especially if the offensive line can. I really liked what DeMarco had to say yesterday. This team just looks different, the eye test. Yeah, and he was talking about the line of scrimmage. When that comes from a guy who played a decade in the NFL and, at Carolina and the SEC, like when he says that, that raised my antenna like, okay, that's good to know. It's good to hear. But in the SEC last year, so Carson Beck led the conference in passing, 3,941 yards. Per game, Jaden Daniels led the way with 318. No other quarterback averaged 300 yards passing a game. I mean, I think in our contest, Phil, 1 or 2 guys picked 300 yards a game. Am I right on that? I mean,
right. Yeah.
That's a little ambitious.
It was. Okay? Yeah.
Carson Beck didn't do that. Jackson Dart didn't do that. Brady Cook didn't do that. Spencer Rattler didn't do that. Graham Mertz didn't do that. You get the idea. One guy did it, and he won the Heisman. The high marks, not named Jaden Daniels, Beck was 282 a game. Then it was Rattler 266 a game, which is amazing without an offensive line and one go-to receiver. Then it was Dart 259 a game, Cook 255 a game. Oh, I skipped over. Graham Mertz was 264 a game.
Yeah, the Mertz though was like everything was like 5 yards an attempt. It was just a massive.
Yeah, they didn't challenge. They've only got one game breaker. At least they did last year, and that was the Wilson kid. The Pearsall kid. I mean, he's a great player, but a lot of his stuff was yards after catch.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just thought those were some interesting numbers to look out for. There was one other tidbit I had, and I don't know where it is, so I'm going to wrap this up right now. That is our Love Chevy drive around the SEC. Maestro, take it away.
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet, South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer. Don't let the summer of savings pass you by. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com. Together,
let's drive.
Let's drive. Yeah. I don't. Yeah. All right.
Together. Let's drive. Why don't we do this, Phil?
I like that.
Let's stay on schedule here. Get a break in on time.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll got plenty more, including Jamie will rejoin us with the scoop on Shane's press conference and tackle a few other things going on in the world of college football and beyond. It's the king of late night. It's the Mad Dog. It's me. It's ITG, and we're back after this.
The Aventon Adventure 2 takes the same basic design as the original Aventon Adventure, making it an adventure bike designed to take you places that typical roads just don't reach, allowing you to ride whatever terrain you want based on your whims of the day. Look at what you're getting. Hydraulic disc brakes, torque sensor for responsive pedal assist, great LED lighting, suspension, a beautifully welded frame with excellent build quality, included rear rack, included fenders. The list just keeps going on.
Visit electricbikescharleston.com for more.
Ah, the summer solstice, when the ho-hum of the everyday is replaced by an overwhelming sense of freedom. A time for living, for rolling the windows down, cranking up the tunes, and blazing new trails. Now is your time. And Love Chevy is celebrating with incredible summer savings on the entire lineup of award-winning new Chevys. Unprecedented savings right now on the ride of your dreams. Love has them all, primed and fully equipped for your next adventure. And right now at the lowest prices of the year. The best prices anywhere, in fact. Love guarantees it. The others are still saying anything to lure you in and let you down. With the same old gimmicks and ridiculous add-ons. Love is different. Over 6 decades of honesty and integrity, and the long-standing belief that car buying should actually be a whole bunch of fun. Now is your time at Love Chevy, I-26 at Harbison, and at lovechevy.com. Together, let's drive.
That's the power of love. Love Chevy.
Hey Gamecock Nation, my name is Kyle, longtime listener of the show and avid golfer. I wanted to take my game to the next level, but let's face it, golf is a hard game to learn on your own. I heard the ad from McKellar Enterprises and reached out to the owner and former Gamecock golfer, Meredith Taylor. In just 2 months of working with Meredith, I shot my lowest round ever, and I've never felt more confident in my golf game. So if you're looking to take your game to the next level, go to McKellarEnterprises.org and book your lesson today with former Gamecock golfer, Meredith Taylor. Go Gamecocks.
I got to ask you one more thing, Coach.
Okay, Stephen.
All right, so 2011, after the Auburn game, and then Connor plays Kentucky, freaking balls out. Next thing you know, I get kicked off the team. I just wanted to hear, kind of from your perspective, how you felt on that. I know I absolutely despised it, but I just wanted to hear from you.
Bring on your forces of nature. Bring on the storm that's raging. If you get lost in the shadows, there's a fire inside you. Be the light that guides you. Come on, carry your flame.
That
Welcome
song gets
back.
me every time. That's good stuff, man. Jamie,
I like it. Yeah. Mhm.
Jamie puts together a good vignette, is what we call that in TV circles. A good vignette guy right there.
Vignette.
I didn't.
Yeah, I want
he
JB's
finds music
Spotify
I never
playlist.
heard before. What's that's on your playlist?
No, I said I want JB's Spotify playlist.
I know, man.
It has to rock.
No, I mean it's good, and I'm not even like a huge music guy, but that when you match it to the right video, we had a guy, Scott Smoke, who produced all of our at the baseball and basketball banquets. He produced our like season in review montage videos, and he did such a good job with that. He'd find just the right song. He'd find just the right highlights to cap, 3 straight trips to Omaha or big wins in basketball over an NC State or Clemson, what have you, and just put it together. So, well, now he's sure. Now that I'm talking good about him, he just pops right in.
No, it's like, look, I mean, it surprised me. Just
right
popped
on
in.
cue,
Yeah,
right
I
on
was
cue.
like, what's it called? The greatest playlist ever playlisted or whatever? What do you
I was complimenting your vignettes, Jamie. Your because we all like that. What is it? The Flame song that you put together behind the video. So that to me gets me. No, I like country music, but that doesn't hype me up. The kind of music you played there, that hypes me up. Sandstorm hypes me up. No offense to Morgan Wallen or what, that doesn't hype me up. I like good hype music. So kudos on that. Speaking of hype. I won't even say it. I don't need to say it. You're here. So let's go ahead and tell us the great news that Shane Beamer passed along, the atomic bombs that were dropped today. Right now, the Pete Thamels of the world, every national reporter, Bruce Feldman, they are scattering to get their 140 or 280 characters in to type in this news dropped by Shane Beamer at the presser today. I yield the floor to Jamie Bradford.
Well, once they climb out of Deion Sanders' butt, they'll be able to learn about the rest of this information. But no, actually, believe it or not, this was one of the more informational ones that he's had in a while. And obviously, the big news is that he did notify Lenoris this morning that he is the starting quarterback officially for South Carolina. That's the headlines. Couple of injury things. Emory Floyd's got a lower body issue coming out of this scrimmage the other day. That's a big note because he is competing to actually start at that other position at corner. But he is probable to go next week. And then Aaron Parks, we JC and I were on a text with somebody on Saturday, so we heard about Aaron Parks in the middle of it. He had rolled his ankle pretty bad, so he's doubtful to be able to play next weekend if he were to get any time in there. But a couple of they did talk about the wide receivers. I will say that listening to him talk about Mazio Bennett today, I'm not going to be shocked if he starts. The true freshman out of Greenville. He called him a gamer. He said he makes plays when the lights are on, and he is going to play, quote, a whole heck of a lot next Saturday. So that generally means you're probably starting, or if he doesn't start, he's number 4. I mean, he's going to play a bunch. But I'll tell you what, guys, the thing, and we don't have to get into necessarily all the names and this, that, and the other. What really stood out was he was asked a question about what do you feel like you need to do between this week and next week to get your team ready to play, like what's left, basically. And he had a few things to say about the offense. He didn't really say anything about the defense. As a matter of fact, he said, I feel pretty good. And the only thing he mentioned was figuring out who's going to back up the starters at safety and who's going to start at the other corner position. The rest of it seems solid. And so I think he knows who's starting, number 1, and I think he knows who's backing up, number 2. And they really like where that group is, and it's led by the linebackers. And he mentioned Bam Martin Scott just receiving a ton of NFL calls. And we all know the importance of Debo Williams. He mentioned the other guys as too, Kamara and Knight, and how big they have been. So, I took the lack of addressing that on that side of the ball, defense, as a vote of confidence for that group here in the preseason. Again, I know fans, of course, are going, well, I'm going to want to see it. And as I mentioned to Preston and Bill yesterday morning, fans make the world go round. You can't do it without them. Everybody loves fans. But this program and many others out there, Mike, Matt, Phil, if you tell them that something is good, they don't want to hear it. but they don't want to hear that it's bad either. So I don't really know what they ever want to hear. But all I'll say is it is jiving with what we have actually heard, which South Carolina's defense should be the strength of the football team in 2024.
I would agree with that.
Yeah,
I mean, less
production.
questions.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of experience. I mean, all seniors at linebacker, pretty much all seniors up front.
Yeah.
Not all seniors in the secondary necessarily, except for O'Donnell. But a lot of games and minutes back there, no doubt.
Yeah.
So.
And again, what's the most important position on the field?
Yeah, the lines of scrimmage in this league.
Oh, well,
you're talking about
yeah.
I thought you were talking about the defense.
Well, no, I mean, just all told, we all agree it's the quarterback. And so, Lenoris can just ball out in practice. They still want to see what he's going to do when the lights are on. That's just natural. That's every new quarterback in the Southeastern Conference. And there aren't many new ones that have less experience. So I don't think he's going to offer a whole lot of commentary one way or another. I don't think anybody is surprised he was named the starter.
No.
One of the other things I was going to add on the Love Chevy Drive was Malik Murphy of Duke, Sam Levitt of Arizona State, Brendan Lewis of Nevada, Maddox Madsen of Boise State over Malachi Nelson. These were all quarterback battles going on still entering August the 20th.
Mm-hmm.
What's unique about the SEC, and really we could have backed this up a few months, there are no quarterback battles. And I was looking at the Big Ten. There aren't many there either. You want to know why? Because when you have the means of SEC and Big Ten programs, you don't have to gamble. What coaches are doing now, they're not grooming. They're just getting finished products out of the portal. The Carson Becks of the world, that is the exception to the rule. A kid that sat on the bench and watched a walk-on, Stetson Bennett, lead the way, and then turned down NFL money. He was going to be a second-round pick and then come back for yet another. That's the exception of the rule. The rule, even for major programs, is to grab a lot of guys in the portal and to make sure that
Notre
you don't
Dame
have
do every year.
That's what they've been up to. Year. So we don't have this. August used to be a great month for talk radio and shows like this because you'd have so many quarterback battles throughout the country that everybody was fixated on. We've gotten away from that. And who didn't know Malik Murphy was going to start at Duke? Like, there's just not a whole lot of drama anymore because coaches are like, the hell with that. I don't want a good, healthy quarterback competition between two unproven commodities. You know what I want? I want to go to the portal and grab a guy who has started 47 games in his Division I FBS career, and let's roll with that. And that's what they're doing.
I agree, and I think too that actually kind of goes to what we've discussed around here. We talked about it at the top of our program today before you got on, Mike, with this quarterback battle between Lenore Sellers and Robbie Ashford. How much of a battle was it really? I don't think any of us will ever know. Probably not much of one, but their job is as a coaching staff is to make sure that they do everything they possibly can to make those guys think that they're in one.
Absolutely.
Like that's your job. I mean, you can't create, like, if competition isn't going to create itself, you have to create competition to make your football team better, or any team better in any sport, for whatever it is. And there, that job, he mentioned Mike Shula and Dowell Loggins and how much better he feels like the room is now. I can't imagine that any coach in the world would say, yeah, the room's a lot worse than it was. I mean, nobody's going to say that, but also, we have the luxury of hearing some things off record. And we generally have a good idea whether that's good information or bad information. It's all been pretty good information. The room has gotten better. He even said today with Ashford, good things happen when the ball is in Robbie's hands. And I would imagine that the large majority of that has to do with his legs, but I do know that he's become a better passer. The point is this, though, to your point, Mike. Robbie Ashford came in out of the portal. Lenore Sellers, this is a little bit different than some other places. Lenore Sellers was recruited here out of high school, and he has developed into the starting quarterback in year 2. Robbie Ashford came out of the portal, but they had to make sure that those guys would go at it every single day.
Right.
That's only going to make, so like for the fans and, well, why haven't they announced the starting quarterback, this and the other? Their job is not to tell you who the starting quarterback is on your timeline. Their job is to take this thing as far as they can take it until it's go time. And that's exactly what they did.
And let's be honest.
go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say one more thing, Matt. If the news came out today that Robbie Ashford was QB1, could you imagine? Could you imagine the reaction? Because that would be less about Robbie Ashford having a great camp and more about what's wrong with Lenoris Sellers. That would just open up a can of worms that you wouldn't want to have to deal with. So, I mean, we all knew this was going to happen, and it's expected, and it's clearly the guy they are banking on, not just in 2024. I mean, this is the future of the program at the most important position on the field, and this offense, in a lot of ways, will go as he goes. Now, Rocket Sanders takes a ton of pressure off him, but man, oh man, you still have to have your quarterback make big plays on third down in this league, and we'll see if he's able to do it early, even in week 2, Matt.
Well, you were even talking earlier about, it's not normal what happened with Carson Beck at Georgia. Well, it's also not normal that Lenoris got to sit a year behind Spencer Rattler. And when Spencer came to Carolina, he was a one and done. That's what he was trying to do. Came back. But can you imagine last year without Spencer Rattler and then having a Tanner Bailey, Lenoris Sellers?
You just said something that there's so much truth in that, because we've seen that time and time again in this program over the years, right? How many times have very talented quarterbacks come through the University of South Carolina and kind of just been thrown in there, and they're really probably not ready for that moment? You know what I mean? Like
Jake Bentley.
It did happen to Connor. Yeah, absolutely.
Lorenzo Nunez. I mean, all of them.
Dondriel Pinkins.
Yeah, this has happened. I mean, Ryan Helinski. I mean, this has happened over and over, and everybody can't wait to see the next. That's not unique to South Carolina. That's unique to football. Everybody wants to see you might mention it yesterday with the Saints and Rattler, Mike, which is music to our ears. We love Spencer, but is he ready to play? Probably not. And so we've seen that, to your point, Matt. It's a great point that has happened so much at South Carolina, and it has been unbelievably rare. I can remember one other time in recent memory where you got to just sit back and just watch the guy go and learn. But there were two different styles of quarterbacks. That was Dylan Thompson, who came in after Connor in 2014. Totally different quarterback. He was going to fling it around. We all know what Connor was and how much of a dual threat he was. There are other examples, but they're few and far between here. So to your point, and we mentioned this a lot last year on this program, and I think a lot of people mentioned it elsewhere, that was the best thing that could happen to Lenoris Sellers. Come in, young man. Hey, find you a good, comfortable spot to stand in over there and just watch this kid play. And you're going to be better because of that. And we'll see. He's still got to go play football, but my gut says he will be.
And what a luxury to have a guy that was your mentor that you can now say is in the NFL. Yeah. That's a hell of a motivator. Yeah. I mean, if you look at that and you're like, he's living my dream, I'm going to try and do everything right that he did right. Now, we all know there's two different skill sets there between the two. Lenoris clearly is a more athletic, more mobile quarterback, but you could certainly take some things from Spencer's game, his accuracy, his ability to make plays. He wasn't fast, but he could scramble and buy time. And then when he had to run, he was good at it. Even with a 4.9 40, he was pretty damn good at it. So that is certainly a luxury. One quick luxury I do want to mention to you as well is Lurie Life and Health. If you know somebody turning 65, this is a service at no cost. You can have any questions answered about Medicare. They're local. It's not some call center that you see advertised on TV all the time. They've been doing it for a long time and helping South Carolinians for a long time. Give them a call today. It's Lurie Life and Health. Again, no cost for their service at 803-256-2067, 803-256-2067. That's Lurie Life and Health.
All right, we will hit our final timeout of the afternoon. One thing that they didn't talk about, I'll get to that when we return as well, and we'll begin to wind things down as we ramp things up towards football here on Inside the Gamecocks, the show presented by Resto Pros.
To win in sports, you have to adapt your strategy as the game changes. The same is true of investments. I'm Eric Ponder, an Edward Jones financial advisor, and I can be your financial coach. Call 864-862-2161. Edward Jones, member Civic.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Gary Patterson for your personal price plan today.
Touchdown Brewer. Set up a screen, and it goes to Brewer. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown Brewer, his second of the day. Pitches it to Brewer, turns the corner, touchdown, number 3 of the afternoon.
Hey folks, it's Mike Morgan for Ryan Brewer Fence. That's right, you know the former Gamecock legend as a terrific college football player. Well, I know him as that too. I also know him as the guy that runs a great business, one of the best businesses in South Carolina. How do I know that? Well, for one, I'm actually a client of Ryan's. I had my home in Columbia done years ago, and his crew did an outstanding job, just as he does for everybody else. Whether you're in the market for a fence, railings, columns, or anything in between, their craftsmanship, their experience, and service second to none. Ryan Brewer Fence has over 15 years of experience with consultation and installation of residential and commercial fencing and railings. Rest assured your job will be done with an unparalleled level of expertise, and it's done on time, and they do it right the first time. Again, you're not going to do any better than Ryan Brewer. Ryan Brewer Fence. The website is ryanbrewer.net. Set up an appointment today. Tell them Mike sent you.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Gary Patterson for your personal price plan today.
I said, oh, Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Disaster comes uninformed. During and after natural disasters or accidents, there can be a heavy loss to property. It can become extremely difficult to bounce back to what you knew before. Having your home or office destroyed or damaged by water, fire, smoke, or mold affects your personal and business lifestyle. Resto Pros of the Midlands is here to help. Open 24/7. Call them when you need them. 803-493-0170. Resto Pros of the Midlands. RestoProsMidlandsSC.com. It's the final segment inside the Gamecocks, the show. Welcome back. Palm Casual will keep you comfy as you watch football outside or inside. You can put it inside, you can put it wherever you want. PalmCasual.com. It's in Bluffton. They're in the Dirty Myrtle or Myrtle Beach. Dirty Myrtle to us. Somerville, Mount Pleasant. They come from everywhere. It's another Gamecock owned and operated company. You think you're a Gamecock? You ain't more than a Gamecock than Aaron Beasley. He is the biggest Gamecock known to man. And almost so much that we have to avoid each other sometimes when bad things happen. He falls off the cliff. I got to bring him back to life. But he's all right. He's got a great business. Coach Spurrier is one of their clients. Coach Spurrier, by the way, is on Tailgate Talks tomorrow morning. It'll be released early right here on the Chief Sports app. Looking forward to that. But Palm Casual is awesome. Their stuff is just absolutely fantastic. I mean, truly fantastic. Our stuff sits outside. No mold, no wear and tear from the sun, no water, none of that. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You can be cheap and go to Amazon and then have your wife bitching at you because the stuff's falling apart within a few months. You don't want to do that. Spend a little extra money, get the good stuff at Palm Casual, palmcasual.com.
Can I just say, Jamie, on that, I have neighbors that rarely say. Some neighbors are very social. Some are kind of in their own world, and I respect that. We don't need to be chatty just because we're neighbors. I had a neighbor that rarely says anything. Sometimes I wonder if he has a tongue. And a few days after he saw the Palm Casual furniture at Senior Morgan's casa, he said, "That's some really good-looking patio furniture. Where'd you get it?" That's you don't hear that from him. This is like, it's like Silent Bob. When he says something, it's usually pretty poignant and very important. So No, Aaron doesn't. Unlike the commercials that we were talking about the other day, you remember the old lottery? Here in the state of Georgia, we just love David Beasley. Well, obviously that was a knock on David Beasley. We don't love David Beasley per se. We love Aaron Beasley and the job that he's done. Can I make a quick announcement about Thursday's show?
Well, of course you can.
Yes.
Confirmation. Sheldon Brown will join us at.
Oh,
nice.
Right.
So
You got
Sheldon,
it
right.
Sheldon's been a friend for a while, knew him quite well during his playing days at Carolina, and then with the Eagles, reached out to him today, and he's doing great things out there in the Rock Hill area, so he'll join us at noon on Thursday.
Sheldon's a baseball guy. That's awesome. Look forward to getting Sheldon on. He was a great baseball player. Had he actually committed? I understand Sheldon's first love is baseball, and but he's a hell of a football player. Kind of worked out for him.
Called his one home run. We were at Greenville Municipal Stadium. Used to be the home of the Double-A Braves.
That's right. We were talking about that with Coach Holbrook the other day.
Were you?
Mike? Yeah, kind of reminiscing about how, all the baseball and all the players we got to see.
Yeah. Well, he went Oppo Taco for his one home run, and then we were in Gainesville on a road trip, and all of a sudden I was like, where's Sheldon Brown? Like, he was just starting to really see the ball well and come along as a baseball player. And like, yeah, he's in the hospital. Like, what? He had an emergency appendectomy and never played baseball again. But you're right, Jamie. I mean, he loves the sport, loves the game. And I have no doubt if there was one guy that could have handled that, it's almost impossible to do in this day and age, to juggle the two sports. I think Sheldon could have done it. There were some other football players that tried. And then we had some football play like Derek Watson, people forget, actually got into a Gamecock basketball game.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to do both. But Sheldon could have done it. But instead, I'd say having a 10-year or so NFL career worked out okay.
It worked out all right. Yeah. And he's home giving back, and he's built an incredible baseball facility. He's doing it big, man. So really, really happy to have him. Looking forward to that. I know you had texted us this morning. You were trying to get that done, and we're fired up for that. So
yeah. Also, JC and Morgan tomorrow. Tom Luganville will be on at 10 o'clock. So Loogie tomorrow. Tim Brando the following Monday. Record numbers this offseason. I know a lot of our audience here kind of eavesdrops on that show. It's a national show. We've got people all over, but I know we do have a lot of Gamecock fans that also tune in, and we appreciate that. But it's never been stronger during the years we've been doing it. A proud member of the Chief Sports app community. So we're real excited about that as well. All right, done with the plugs.
Well, I'll give one more now that you're done. For anybody that I'm going to give all of you a homework assignment. If you're in the Nana Sports chat box, if you're not in the Nana Sports chat box, and we know there's thousands of you that aren't, that just like to listen and watch and just sit in the background, and we really appreciate that. But I'm going to give you all a homework assignment. Tell one person that you know that doesn't know about our program, and the reason is not necessarily self-promotion. It's more promotion to help all of you. He mentioned Sheldon Brown. If you can name another program this week that's going to have Pat DeMarco, Stephen Garcia, Sheldon Brown, Perry Orth, John Strickland, and Michael Flynn on, I don't know. What do you want to come up with? We'll give you $1,000, but you can't name one, so you're not going to get $1,000 from us.
We'll plug them on this show. How about that?
And
if there's another one out there, we'll give them a plug on.
Yeah, we'll plug them on this show. We'll help them grow their fan base. But Pat, Stephen, Perry, John, and Michael are part of our weekly coverage of Carolina football. Now moving forward throughout the season, and we'll of course always have guests on like Sheldon Brown. So tomorrow it's going to be a busy morning for all of you. You get to wake up, you get to listen to or watch Tailgate Talks with Pat, Stephen, and Coach Spurrier. Then you get to watch Mike, JC, and Loogie. Speaking of Coach Spurrier, and then you get to listen to Stephen Garcia talk right here at noon on our program as well. So you're going to get it all before noon tomorrow. What are you going to do with yourself after that?
Crazy.
Is the question. All right, couple other quick things from that presser today. One, and I'm gonna have to talk to my friends in the media because come on, guys. You had 30 minutes with Shane Beamer, not a damn word about the offensive line. That's the one position group that really has just had some issues. Nobody even asked a question, which is kind of strange.
Coach Alex up on some of these questions this morning. Did he ask any of the stuff we told him?
Who the hell's Whittle? You know, what is Cloninger doing? He gets the first question every day. He rolls 2 or 3 off in about 10 seconds, Nothing on the offensive line, DC? Come on, man. So we didn't get any of that. And Gage Larvadane has had some nagging injuries. I've been projecting him to start. He has moved out of my starting projections based on the nagging injuries. He will play, but he will not. I don't think he will start next week. Okay, I got to get to this. This is basketball related. Mike, I was waiting to get to it with you. You will love this, Matt. You'll be all over it. I'll just let you two fiddle around in your little basketball world here for the next 8 minutes before we sign off. But Gary Parrish does a Candid Coaches series every year on CBSSports.com. Y'all probably read it in years past. And what he does is he goes out and he asks 100 coaches, 100 plus, from D1 all the way down to like small school assistant coaches at lower leagues, right? And he asks them off these. He doesn't publish any of their names or any of that stuff. Just asks them different questions. Well, one that he wrote about today is, what is the most amount of NIL money somebody has asked you or your staff to pay for a player? I'm going to read this again. Not what have you paid. What is the most amount of NIL money that somebody has asked you or your staff to pay for a player? The results are really, truly remarkable, at least to me. Probably not to you two. 2 million or more got 10.4%. Between 1 million and 2 million, 40.6%. And then less than a million, 49%. So over half of these coaches, them or somebody in their staff has been asked to pay over $1 million for a player. There are some anonymous quotes in here. One of them said that they were asked to pay $5 million for a player. Some of them were asked to pay, $400,000, $100,000. One guy said he was asked to pay $50,000 for a player. This is actually an interesting quote. Asked to pay $50,000 for a player, and when they said no, they were made to feel like that was insulting. And the coach said that was $50,000 more than this kid deserved. He wound up going to the SEC. Pretty wild. Over $1 million? This is over 100 coaches, guys. It's crazy.
What they're asking for, not what they got.
Correct.
Yeah, right.
I know for a fact last year North Carolina had 3 players on their team all pocketing $1 million for the season or more. And Gary Parrish has talked a lot about some of these kids coming up, like this DeBastana kid, probably going to go to BYU. You wonder why he's going to BYU as number 1 player in the country. He's going to get $5-6 million to go there. And Gary's reporting that nationally, not just saying, hey, I heard this. He's like, he's going to be a $5 or $6 million kid.
Can I just?
I know several price tags that have been quoted to me for SEC players, opposing coaches who have told me what the price tag was, including some kids from the state of South Carolina who went elsewhere. One of which made $600,000 at another SEC school, didn't do a hell of a lot, and then was gone.
Mm-hmm.
So for $600,000, you didn't get much of your value, but that was his price tag. And that's a lot more of that out there. The SEC now in hoops is very financially committed. Let's put it that way.
I talked to a source at Georgia and are concerning the Georgia program, and their men's basketball budget, they want to be $8 to $10 million a year for NIL.
You said Georgia?
Yeah.
Mike White and Georgia are now, I don't know where the money is coming from, but it's out there. They are now players. I think Georgia just finally said we're tired of sucking at basketball.
Yeah.
And they are definitely ponying up.
You need $6 million a year minimum right now if you want to be a top 10 program, and that might be on the low end.
For one and done, a one and done sport.
Well, it's not just that, Phil, because these kids that are draft eligible that are not going to be first rounders, they're getting paid massive amounts of money to come back to school.
Or guys in the portal.
Yeah, right. And portal guys.
Most of these are portal guys. Most all of them. to be honest.
Well, the guy I was talking about was an 18-year-old true freshman out of South Carolina. But yes, they're on both ends of the spectrum. The McDonald's All-American types, who you're nothing more than a way station. G.G. Jackson-esque, right? And then more and more coaches that I talk to, especially the ones that know they're not going to get those players, because it's the same like half a dozen schools that typically get those blue chip recruits. But they're saying, you know what? Give me the 23-year-old point guard who has started 127 games. Let him come to my school. What's the price tag there? I'd rather have that at half the price than the 18-year-old McDonald's All-American. And if you look at the results in the Final Fours and who's getting there and who's winning it all, very often that's like Hurley at UConn had, I believe, one of the star players. One of those kids was a McDonald's All-American. I mean, the rest of them were not. They were the next level recruit. Now he's a hell of a basketball coach, and he just turned down the frickin' Lakers so he could run for governor, mayor of Stores, governor for Connecticut, and everything else. And, he'll never pay for a drink or anything else. But outside of that, a lot of coaches they know they're not getting the 5-star, but they're going to get old. And the older teams are the winning teams in college. That Baylor team that won the national title, that Villanova team that won the national title, these are
Florida
older teams.
Well,
yeah, if you want to go
2005, 2006, want to go way
absolutely.
back,
but
yeah. No, I mean, right now, college coaches, if they're at the high major level, they're not going to recruit a kid that's not top 60 in the country. There's just no reason to, because they're going to take a kid around 100 in the country. Let's just use a round number, develop them for a year or two, gone. Why would they waste their time and resources when they get the finished product?
Right.
Yeah, you feel like you're kind of always chasing your tail. I mean, when we talked to Lamont a few months ago, remember, Phil, I asked him about how do you identify in the portal? No, I mean, clearly you identify a good player. You're not going to find somebody that sucks, but he said we go after the guys that, like, we have something to offer and they fit what we have to offer. Like, they're not just going after, like, there's a lot of teams who are just going, oh man, this kid's in the portal, we got to go get him. And Lamont was a little bit more specific and saying, no, this is what we have to offer you. So we have to go after guys who fit what we're offering. So, we're kind of meshing on both ends. To your point, Mike, look what the Gamecocks did in the portal last year.
Without Talon Cooper, and I know he faded a little bit down the stretch, but they're not a tournament team.
No, and BJ Mack too, like going and getting these experienced guys who've played basketball.
Yeah,
that's big difference.
And
then
how
valuable Benjamin Bosman's-Verdonk is for this Gamecock team. Nobody wants him to get in the game, but he bodies people up in practice. He plays hard. He has Big Ten experience, SEC experience. He's athletic as all get out. Like, he is a very valuable component to that tournament team last year.
He looks like a great player when he walks off the bus. I know that. If you put him in a muscle shirt, you're like, good Lord, who is that? And then he just doesn't play. But no, I mean, if you look at this year's team,
a little bit different.
Going to be, but experience. Not as old, but experienced and long. That front court will be one of the longest in the SEC.
Long and athletic, man.
Long and athletic. A point guard who's definitely more explosive than Talon Cooper. I'm not saying he's better. And then, of course, you got a true freshman 2 guard. That's always a little bit of a crapshoot, but he's certainly uber talented. I think what I love about Lamont as a fit at Carolina, because when you look at what they did at Wisconsin with the Final Fours and all the success that they had, they weren't bringing in McDonald's All-Americans. That wasn't their formula. He recognized what works with the next tier of player, and that's what he's going to work with at Carolina for the most part. There's not going to be a lot of G.G. Jacksons rolling through. That's okay. You don't have to have that to win. Again, look at the Final Four rosters. So I think he'll be able to maximize what he gets, and now that there's more NIL money in the coffers, they'll be able to get more and more players. And oh, by the way, I'll throw out another plug for Kerry Rich, because without him, they don't get half the guys on that roster that they have.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's true.
Absolutely. Before we get out of here, JB, South Carolina does have the 5th ranked recruiting class in college basketball for 2025 as it stands right now.
In the nation? What?
In the nation.
How many's on that list? How many kids?
Let's see. There's 2 kids. You obviously got the Eli Ellis kid.
Well, I mean, a class is only 4 generally. Like
quality over quantity.
You got 3 kids on the list, and they're gonna have to take two more in that class at least.
Ellis is going to be
5 is a lot.
Fan favorite. I could just watching his game.
I already love him. Yeah, listen. I'm all about this Eli Ellis kid.
He's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
He's the kid. He's like smoking baseball. If he's on your team, you love him. If he's on the other team, you can't stand him.
Oh yeah, no, he'll make some enemies. Yeah, they're going to there's going to be some people he rubs the wrong way that are going to get in his face. I have no doubt about that.
Yeah,
but
like that kid at Ole Miss. What was that kid's name?
Marshall Henderson.
Marshall Henderson.
I still love the clip of that old man standing up in front of him like he was about to punch him in the face.
The days of the baggy shorts. God, thank God those days are over.
Marshall.
That was atrocious. All right, we got to get out of here, but we sure are thankful for Matt Anderson, Mike Morgan, and Alex Jones for joining us today on Inside the Gamecocks, the show. Mike, you're not on tomorrow?
No, Thursday.
But
back on Thursday, and Sheldon will be with us at noon, and have some fun with all of that on Thursday's show.
Yeah, coming up tomorrow, Stephen Garcia, and then Thursday, Sheldon Brown and Perry Orth will be here. Nice. So really looking forward to. And hey, the Blind Squirrel, our old Georgia boy is in here. We love that guy. I love that guy.
Yeah, good to see you, Blind Squirrel. I was wondering about where you were.
Love Blind Squirrel. Football's back, so he gets to come and tell everybody how good Georgia is.
Hey, we have plugged everybody, including Blind Squirrel, except for the king of late night, Matt Anderson, with Alex tonight at 8 o'clock. We got to plug that.
Yeah,
we got to plug the additional programming around here.
Yep, that's tonight at 8.
8 o'clock.
King of late
I gotta
night.
write that down.
King of late night. He'll have a top.
Our Leno of late night.
Are you going to do stupid pet tricks tonight, Matt? Is that part of your?
Yeah, Letterman.
That's what Alex is doing.
Okay, good.
Yes. Oh, please. Let's
poor
do
Alex.
that.
Juggling St. Bernard, everybody. A juggling St. Bernard.
We already had our crack at Alex. When you see him tonight, throw something at. Hey, nothing on the offensive line, dude. Really?
Yeah, you got to poke him a little bit. I mean, come on.
He's going to have deer in the headlights if I ask him that tonight on our show.
He'll just smile. The pride of Hampton County. All right. For Mike, Matt, and Mad Dog, I'm JB. We'll see you tomorrow at 11. Remember, download the Chief Sports app. Steve Spurrier on it tomorrow morning around 5 a.m. We'll see you tomorrow.